Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So we're going to do a reading today for the full moon in Leo, and we are going to also talk about and read the energies for the major events with Pluto and Aquarius that have happened over the weekend. It's been a big weekend. I just want to say thank you to everyone who watches, likes, shares, comments on the videos and subscribes to the channel. And if you would like a personal reading, you're welcome to do that. Just check the description box for information on that. But yeah, where do we begin? I mean, I was going to do a full moon reading anyway, because, you know, I've got a schedule for that as part of my regular readings. In terms of the Pluto, so we had the Sun conjunct Pluto. That was like a major thing that happened. That was on the 20th of January. So that would have been Saturday in the UK. The sun entered Aquarius on the same day, so it was probably like, what, 25 minutes after that, on the same day. And then on Sunday in the UK, Pluto entered Aquarius. So all major events. So in terms of like the Pluto related stuff, I've been keeping my eye on Pluto for a while, because if you've seen previous videos, you've probably heard me moaning about how much I've been desperate for Pluto to get the hell out of my 6th house. It's still in my 6th house. It's at the tail end. You know, I haven't actually checked the exact degrees, but yeah, it's been tough. It's been a 15-year karmic cycle, and I'm ready for it to be over. I know I'm at the tail end, and there are transitions happening and everything, but still it's like, just get out now. Let's just have a new start. But anyway, with Pluto was in Capricorn and it's now in Aquarius, so that is a big change in itself as well. And I think the point I was trying to make was, I didn't know if I wanted to do a reading before the events happened, because as I say, I have had my eye on it for a while, or I don't know, I think I got to a point where I said, you know what, let's let it happen, and then we'll see what the energies are like after. So as I said, Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So that's when, if you're not familiar with astrology, and to be frank, my knowledge of astrology is beginner level, I would say. Conjunctions are where the planets are very close together. Now, with the Sun being conjunct and Pluto in Capricorn, it happened at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So that's like the last degree. That is the last degree, you know, with the way astrology works, there's 360 degrees, and each sign, there's 30 degrees in each sign. So when it shifts out of one sign into the other, it's like 29 degrees is the last degree, and then there's minutes included as well. So it was 29 degrees and 59 minutes. So it's like the very, very last part, and it's known as, and I haven't researched this fully, but I came across it in an article, an anaretic degree, which is considered to be a degree of fate. So basically it's a massive change. It's like a tower moment, put it that way. The way I felt it, I don't know if I felt it, I do get the tower energy, because it's tearing down an old cycle, or it's the end of an old cycle and going into a new one. But for me, it's kind of felt more like a catalyst. The Sun conjunct Pluto has felt like it's more of a catalyst. So it's like, imagine, I don't know if you've ever seen a film with those massive like computers in the 50s or whatever, or whatever decade is you know, you want to consider, and it's like pressing a button on a massive machine that has a long and complex process. And that's what it felt like to me. It's like pressing that button. It's like a trigger. So the conjunction, it felt like a trigger to me, and I'm pretty sure I did feel the energy as it was. I felt the shift. I don't know if it was all in my mind, but I feel like I literally felt the shift at the time that it happened, because I was keeping an eye on it. I was giving myself a personal reading, and I almost feel like I could feel the shift in energy. Just, I don't know how to explain it, just like a bit of a, you know, the physical gut feeling that you get when something's happening. So as I say, that's happened. Pluto entering Aquarius as well. As I said, that's happened as well. So basically the conjunction was a catalyst, with it, Pluto going into Aquarius, and obviously the Sun enters Aquarius as well. It's just like, it's like the death of an old way of life collectively. I would say there will be some kind of integration of the old ways with the new ways. You'd leave behind what didn't work and take with you what did work and use it in a new way. But it really is like, it's a new era. Aquarius, it's an energy of innovation and community. And so it probably will be a new era. innovation and a stronger sense of community, hopefully, and a different sense of interconnectedness, because at this point in time there is a lot of divisiveness around, isn't there? Strangely, so it's like a collective rebirth, a new identity individually and collectively, new legacies individually and collectively, and like a new beginning for us. And as I say, it feels like a process. This is not just like it's the planets have switched and that's it, it just suddenly switches. It's like, you know, with moon cycles there's a shadow period, or when with a lot of planetary movements there's a shadow period, so there will probably be a shadow period of like transition. But the way I look at it, so with Capricorn's energy, Capricorn, its rules, its structure, its authority, and it can be restrictive. Like the darker side, like the positive side is like strong, do I want to say leadership? I don't know about leadership, but just a strong sense of structure, but then that can become restrictive, can't it? And then with Aquarius, there's more a sense of liberation. The shadow side of Aquarius is where there's too much individualism, but I would say one of the things we might notice is a change from restriction. Anything that's been restrictive, we're going to go into a period of liberation. We may be relinquishing control in some way, shape or form, and sort of transcending societal expectations. Although how much more can we do that? There are many different ways, aren't there? It seems like we've been doing a lot of that already. So I don't know, like a renewed way of life and a renewed sense of being as well. And as I say, exploring new identities and new legacy as well. So with the conjunction, that is a once in a lifetime experience. That's not going to happen again until for another 231 years. So it's due to happen again in on the 25th of December 2255, so the year 2255. That's a really weird, isn't it, how the numbers match up, the 25th and the year. And that will be a 20-year chapter, which will have nothing to do with us unless we somehow find a way to live for hundreds of years. So yeah, what else do I want to say about that? I think that's about it for the time being. So yeah, I've talked for quite a while now. I'm going to start getting into the cards. These are all of the oracle decks. I feel like there was a lot more I want to say, but there's just so much going on in my head. It's just, yeah, it's a lot to get out. These are the oracle decks I'm going to be using for today's reading. So for the full moon in Leo, and funnily enough, there's a lot of Sun, Pluto and Aquarius energy, because Leo, it is connected to the sun as well, isn't it? And the sun basically illuminates and shines a light on things. Full moon first. I'm going to read the card from the Moonology deck as usual, because that will give us like a flavour of full moon in Leo. You might want to take that message into account if there's anything you want to release in terms of setting intentions. I'm then going to get some cards for all the Pluto energy. I'm going to use the Vampires deck to get cards for I want to get messages from Pluto. I don't know if that sounds a bit weird, but we're going to try it. And then I'll get individual timestamp messages for each sign. And with those messages, each sign will get a card for the full moon in Leo. You'll get a card for the conjunction. I know it's already happened, but let's see what it's triggered for you. And we'll also get a card for each individual sign for Pluto entering Aquarius as well. So we'll see how it goes. But let's get all of these out of the way. And as I say, I'm going to read the message for this card first of all from the Moonology deck. So the full moon is going to happen in the UK. It'll be Thursday the 25th, and I should have my dates right now. I did refer to the calendar in advance. I know there was a period last year where I kept on getting dates wrong. I don't know if Mercury was retrograde or something, or if it was just me going nuts. But anyway, so this message for the full moon in Leo, it says, don't let pride get in your way. So hopefully that is not blurred. It says, have you been letting your pride become an obstacle? Is the question you're asking based on your ego? I forgot to say, actually, if you have a question in mind or an intention in mind, bear that in mind if you feel like doing that before I read the message. I'll start again. Have you been letting your pride become an obstacle? Is the question you're asking based on your ego, or is it from your heart? Leo energy is all about the heart. Think of the big-hearted king of the jungle, the lion. Its energy is magnificent, but when it's combined with the rush of the full moon, it can become over the top. This card may have come to you because you need to end a deadlock that has developed. More love and thoughts for the greater good are the solution to this dilemma. If you've not been doing as you would be done by lately, this is a time to find a balance between your own needs and the needs of the people around you. This will help all your relationships. And what I love about this, obviously Aquarius energy, because obviously this is happening in Aquarius. Aquarius there is a sense of individualism with Aquarius, but there's also a sense of collective as well. So it's bringing that individuality to the collective, to the community. And that's what I'm getting from this. So the attuned to the moon message says, be magnificent without being plain too much. Additional meanings: self-esteem is good, vanity is not. Everyone is equally important. Creative urges should be followed, work some magic, and a friendship may be ending now. And the teaching says, when the full moon comes into in Leo, okay, I think it means just into, comes into Leo, it can be a wonderfully bright time where people feel more confident to show the world their talents and assets. That's the upside of this lunation and of this card, no matter when you pull it. However, take note that the Leo full moon combination creates a sort of tension between your needs and the needs of the people in your networks. Leo full moon is a time to release pride. So that pride can go in a couple of ways, can't it? I mean, the pride can be where people want too much attention and want to be the center of attention and don't give a shit about anybody else. But pride can also come where you're hiding parts of yourself because of the fear of being rejected, those sort of things. That's pride as well, isn't it, in a weird sort of way? So it's two different sides of pride. But as I say again, with all of the Pluto energy around, the Sun energy in Aquarius, you might want to contemplate what are the hidden parts of yourselves. What are the parts of yourselves that you can use to shine and to contribute to the collective as well? Like, be yourself, but contribute as well. So let's get some messages now. So where do I want to put this? I think I'll put it over here for now. Let's get some messages for the Pluto, just Pluto energies in general. So I'm going to use the Le Vampires deck for this. I'll get like one oracle card and some tarot cards as well. So what does Pluto want to tell us after the conjunction and moving into Aquarius? What does Pluto want to tell us? Let's see what comes up here. So I think one thing I may not have mentioned is with the movement of Pluto from Capricorn into Aquarius during Capricorn season, I think collectively we would have been transforming. One of the things we would have been doing is transforming our relationship with authority, rules, structures, ambition, legacy, public image. And it's not to say we've finished with that. As I say, I still feel like there's a bit of a shadow period or a transition period, but with that transformation, it's changing things, isn't it? It's, as I say, it's kind of a new beginning. Anyway, let's see what Pluto has to tell us. What does Pluto want to say to us as a collective? What does Pluto want to tell us? Right. So we have the monster within, internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. Let's get some tarot cards for that as well. I mean, that does make sense to me already. I mean, mental health, for one thing, has really come to the forefront during Capricorn, the 15-year cycle with Capricorn. Mental health also it's come to the forefront, hasn't it? There's more awareness about it. I don't know if people are experiencing more mental health problems or there's just more awareness about it. Obviously, the stuff with gender identity has come to the forefront as well. And I'm sure a bunch of other things too. What do we need to know about that monster within card? Oh, Tower. Of course we get the Tower, but it's in reverse. Okay, and that doesn't surprise me actually, because Capricorn energy, as I said, there's the shadow side and the, what do you want to call it? It's difficult to think of the right term sometimes because obviously everybody interprets things in different ways. I almost feel like I want to say at its best and at its worst, just to simplify it. I mean, obviously it's all, it needs to be integrated. The shadow side and the other side, the higher vibe side, need to be integrated. But, you know, it's difficult to find the right term sometimes. So the Tower, as I said, with Capricorn, it can be restrictive, can't it? In the lower vibration, it can be restrictive. So with that monster within, it's almost like that resistance to change, isn't it? Anything else? What else does Pluto want to tell us about the its shifts and movements? The Queen of Swords. Why are they all in reverse? Well, not all of them, some of them. Right, the Knight of Pentacles. One message that I get from these cards, so as I said here, within the, I think from Capricorn season, like, and for the transition that we're going through now, as I say, there could have been some resistance to change, but the necessity to change things as well, the necessity to sort of review the structures and the authority that are already there, and some of them, obviously, some of them would have needed to be taken down for something new, wouldn't they? With that Queen of Swords, it's almost like facing the truth. As individuals and collectively as well. Remember with the Queen of Swords, it's that she has her truth, but she welcomes other truths in. And I think that may be something that we've struggled with. Maybe not through the whole 15-year period that Pluto was in Capricorn, but definitely within the last couple of years. Maybe since COVID, actually. Because there's as I say, there's been a lot of divisiveness where, I mean, just look at comment sections on anything, on any social media platform, even if it's like a newspaper article or something, there's people battling it out over, I mean, some of the comments you see on things, sometimes it's like, it could be a video of a bloody puppy playing with a ball or something, and there'll be some sort of negative comments that leads to an argument. And it's like, how does that even happen? You know, I've seen some mad things in places. But yeah, as I say, it's like a need to, yes, you have your own truth, but accept other truths as well, without necessarily forcing things down people's throats, because that's part of some of the things that have been happening in everything, in politics, in everything. It's like, where's the balance? Where's the middle ground where you can sort of have some degree of acceptance of other truths as well as having your own truth? With the Knight of Pentacles there, I'm going to get one for that Knight of Pentacles. I have an idea of what I feel it means, but let me just check, because I feel it might be about that, you know, that where I was saying that we about relinquishing control and going from restriction to liberation. It might be connected to that, because the Knight of Pentacles is dutiful. They are someone that really follows the rules, and it's like assessing where you need to have, well, what was I going to say, you need to have more of a balance of sort of certain rules that still need to be followed, and others where it's like, well, no, I need to be able to express myself as well. And again, the balance between your truth and others' truths too. Let's get one more for that. What do we have here? I mean, that is that divisive energy, isn't it? That Five of Swords. It's the divisive energy. Let me get one more for that. The Ace of Cups in reverse. This almost feels like where there'd be a need for compassion. It kind of feels like overall with this Knight of Pentacles an acceptance of differences. Accepting people's differences. Let's just get one more for that. Nine of Wands. That is a card of struggle, but it also feels like a card of defensiveness as well, again, where there are differences, and as I say, I need to be more compassionate. It's not to say that everybody gets to do whatever the hell they want, because that's a possibility with Aquarius. As I said, the shadow side of Aquarius is too much individualism, to the point where everybody just wants to do whatever the hell they want and they don't give a shit about anybody else, and that would be absolute chaos. But as I say, it's like a need for compassion here, rather than people feeling like they're always on the defensive. Yeah, 100%. It's stand up for what you want, what you feel, what you believe in. But as I say, there just needs to be a balance of that sense of individuality and community as well. I haven't even read the Oracle card yet. Let's read it. So the monster within. I think we've probably all struggled with monsters during the Capricorn period big time. But let's see. It says, there is something we know we know about more than anyone, we know more about than anyone could ever imagine. We are afraid never of the world, but of our ability to destroy something tender and beautiful within an instant, because our very nature ensures we hunger for something that will kill those we love if we take it. That's that divisiveness, isn't it? When people are hungry to be heard, to express themselves, to be themselves, but then it's like, well, the only way, getting into a state of mind where it's like, oh, the only way I can be myself is if I attack everybody else. And it's like, how do we get past that and have more of a sense of balance? Right, anyway, it says, this is a terrible dilemma, for we are lovable and loving. We know how to draw close and how to be well and in control for many years, but at some time, in a moment of weakness, when defenses are down and we hunger and our humanity is far away, we may snap, and our hunger may overrun the incredible control and balance we've had. That sounds like that's the perfect description for when you see comment sections where people just kick off at each other over the most random mundane things. Anyway, it says, we would never hurt you, and yet our urge to love you is tied up with our urge to have you. Control, that's control, isn't it? We must learn vast powers of discipline, and this is what can lead us to vanish from the lives of those we care most for. If you are receiving this card, it would seem you too are struggling with an aspect of yourself that you know can bring harm to another, but which is a natural part of you. You are wrestling the demons that lie within. The blessing, I was just going to say this and I'm glad it said it for me. The blessing is knowing our own faults and flaws can give us the tools to transform them into strength. So accountability, isn't it? Like, even if you do want to be, you do want to be able to express yourself and be yourself, etc. Recognize when you're pushing it too far, when you are becoming the monster, when that monster side of you comes out in a bid to sort of be respected and valued. It's when people weaponize it. It's kind of going from being a victim to kind of weaponizing how you feel you've been victimized. I hope I'm making sense here, and feel free to comment. The curse says, right, unable to find the good in your own mistakes, blind to the potential for change. That was the resistance to change there, wasn't it? Defining yourself only in negative terms. Working with this card, it says, if you begin to practice discipline each day and create new ways of dealing with frustrations and difficulties, you will find your so-called negative traits can be reshaped and who you are will be redefined. Changing yourself is a great purpose. This is yours at this time. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. As I say, it's like a massive... just a lot of divisiveness, conflicts internally. Even the mental health stuff fits in with that message as well. Because it talked about the negative, only seeing yourself in negative terms. I mean, that is part of depression, isn't it? Only seeing yourself in negative terms. And then, as I say, sometimes it can, when people feel victimized, it gets to the point where they attack as well, and they're always on the defensive. But so overall, what can I say about that? It's the balance, isn't it? It's finding that balance. What the blessing says, knowing our own faults and flaws can give us the tools to transform them into strengths. And it mentioned balance here as well, yeah. Control and balance. It's having the balance between individuality, community, that sort of thing as well. So I think a key thing I would say here is a key message to take away from Pluto is compassion is one big thing that seems to come to mind. Know your truth, welcome other truths in, and have compassion as well. So I'll leave that collective message there, and I'm going to move on to now the individual messages. So yeah, hope you'll stay with me for that. So welcome back, Aries. We're going to get your individual messages now. So we're going to start off with a message for you for the full moon in Leo. Again, if you have any intentions you want to set, it's usually going to be in terms of release with a full moon or bringing things to fruition. You might want to consider that. So messages for Aries for the full moon in Leo. I like the way that fell out. That was good. So for the full moon, you have long night, moon, darkness. Let's get you a message for the conjunction. And I'm using, so for this full moon message, I'm using the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. For the conjunction, the Sun conjunct Pluto, I'm using the Sacred Destiny Oracle. And I think that was because of that whole degree of fate thing. I thought that would make sense. So what else, what do we need to know for Aries? And these messages are for Aries, Sun, Moon and Rising, by the way. That was transformation. Not a surprise to have that card, but let's see what comes out for you. I'm not going to keep that one. So for the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, what does Aries need to know following on from that event? What's been triggered for Aries? Anything been triggered for Aries? Right, we have potential. I like that. And finally, your message for Pluto entering Aquarius. And as I say, this is like a 20-year chapter in our lives now. And for this one, I'm using the power of love. I don't know, I just felt like this gave Aquarius vibes. And one has fallen. What is that? The one that fell was expression, but I'm going to try that again. So what does Aries need to know? You've got detachment. You are releasing old patterns and ideas that no longer serve your highest ideals of love. Okay, I'm just going to get you a couple of tarot cards to go with each of those, and then I'll look at the messages. I'm not going to look at that message in the book, but I will look at the darkness message and the potential card as well. So what does Aries need to know about this darkness message? So you've got the 8 of Wands, Knight of Wands. I feel like that was meant to be that way. What do they need to know about the potential card? So I'll start off with 2, and then if I feel like I need an extra tarot card, I'll get an extra one. Right, potential. One more for the potential message, please, for Aries. So feel free as well. You've got 3 for that. So you've got the 8 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords. Feel free to look in your birth chart. If you want to do that, there's a link in the description box to bring up your individual birth chart to show where all of these events have happened. I think I might put the details of them in the description box to make life easier for everyone. But it's happening as part of day-to-day astrology. This is happening in your first house. Not your first house. I don't know why I'm saying it's in your first house. In your 10th house. So that is Capricorn energy, isn't it? The 10th house. Right, detachment. So there might be a lot to do with your career, your ambition, your public image, authority, that sort of thing. Right, detachment. What do we need to know for that? You've got the Queen of Pentacles. You might be detaching from old values, actually. And whatever you felt made you feel worthy before, or your sense of value before, that might be changing. You might be detaching from that. Anything else? Okay, one more. 7 of Cups. Yeah, seeing new perspectives in terms of that. Right, so let's look at that full moon message first. So you got darkness. And where's the book? It's here. That's number 40. So the darkness card, long night moon, it says, you are entering a time of introversion, a leaner time, or a time to turn inward to plan and strategize. It is time to do shadow work, which will bring big dividends later on. Release what no longer works for you. The darkness needs to be there as much as does the light. One of the earliest human fears is said to be a fear of the dark. We fear what we can't see, and we fear what may be hiding. In reality, the dark is as important as the light. In nature, there are many nocturnal animals that go about the business of living under the moon, not the sun. The darker times of the lunar and seasonal cycles signal a time to naturally turn inwards, to stay close to home, to look closely at ourselves, and to plan for the light. In the northern hemisphere, the long night moon usually occurred in December around the winter solstice. This is when the nights are indeed long and the hours of sunshine short. It's cold and people would begin to be snowed in. It is during these long nights we can begin to do our shadow work, undertaking the self-reflection and needed to identify what isn't working for us and what might be causing us pain. This could be a bad habit, a destructive pattern, a recurring, useless fear, or anything that holds us back from being the best we can be. Once we see these aspects of ourselves in the dark, we can simply decide whether they must go. We can decide to release them once and for all. We get to transform. And there's a companion stone here, and they say onyx is a companion stone to go with this card. Let me just get one more. I am thinking in terms of progress, that you may need a period of introspection if you want to progress, to see, to assess, as it says in the card, what isn't working and what, if there are any blockages or anything that can be removed, to help you move forward. Because with the Eight of Wands there, that is about progression, but the Knight of Wands is very much it is an energy of movement, isn't it, an adventure, but it's in reverse, so it's clearly there's a bit of a block there. I did say with the Pluto entering Aquarius energy, it's a time to detach, possibly from old values, and look at new perspectives and what makes you feel worthy, or what feels worthy to you. That might be part of that introspection, actually, is if you can sort of refine, I would say, what feels worthy to you, and about yourself as well, and look at the new perspectives that might, and detach from that. That might help. Let me just get one more for the darkness card for you. So introspection, I'd say, yeah, new truths. I would say new truths, but also what is the truth in terms of what's already there as well. So, you know, whatever you're trying to achieve in life, whoever you are trying to become in life, what is the real truth with that? And what do you want to, what do you feel is a truth that you really want to express and take out into the world? I feel like saying, who do you want to be? And that is usually more first house energy, isn't it? But it's, I guess, public image, because it's Capricorn energy. I was saying that this is happening for day-to-day energies. It's in the 10th house, which is Capricorn, and that is part of that is public image. So maybe there's something about your public image that it's establishing the truth of what you want to express with that in terms of your public image. But let's look at the potential card and see what that says. So I'll give you just the main message. It says, this card appears when you are ready to activate your potential and step into your strength. So yeah, you might want to, as part of that introspection, you might want to reassess or refine what you feel your strengths are, or the strengths that you have that you feel are really valuable to you. This is the time to activate those gifts that you've had on the back burner in your life. You have incredible untapped potential. This is the time to allow it to flow. An inner wellspring of power is emerging. You have a profound spiritual power that is deep within you. Do not doubt your great authority and capabilities. A dormant volcano might indicate that you have uncomfortable emotions that you are repressing or keeping inside, thus creating emotional stress and inner pressure. It can also mean that you are on the verge of a great expansion of energy and life force. So with these cards that have come out here, well, first of all, with that Six of Pentacles, that is an energy of, it's an energy of giving, isn't it? It's giving and taking, it's receiving. I already spoke about, excuse me, getting a tickly throat. What you want to, what is the truth of what you want to share? What feels like a valuable truth that you want to share with the world, whether it's just in terms of who you are, your image, or if there's something more to it than that, if it is creative, if it is to do with your ambitions, if there is any leadership, an element of leadership or something there as well, or authority. You've got the Eight of Pentacles. I don't know, for me that feels like it is partly about the inner work, and then, you know, when you come out of that, being in a better position to share your full potential. There is that. But there's also this thing as well where I'm thinking about the part of the Eight of Pentacles where, you know, like when we focus too much on ourselves and what we're doing, and we kind of don't give ourselves, you know, like if you're a workaholic, that's the easiest way to describe it. You know, if you become a workaholic and all you care about is what you're focused on, and then you're just not connecting with people, or even if you do connect with people, it's only for networking purposes. There's a possibility of needing to come out of that a little bit as well, if that's happening to anyone. But by sort of giving and connecting with others, you might find that there are things that you learn that can help you on your path to transform, to progress as well, and to refine your values too. So I think yeah, that's it really. So keywords, introspection. There's something here with the giving and receiving that's really important, and how you interact with people, I feel. And then here, so this is that's the conjunction energy. As I say, this the giving and receiving there, and then with the Pluto going into Aquarius, it's sort of reassessing your values and looking at different perspectives and detaching from old patterns, old values, that sort of thing. So I think I will leave your message there. Thank you for watching, Aries. Take care. Welcome back, Taurus. So we're going to start off with your full moon message, and we're going to use the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck for that first of all. So what does Taurus need to know for the full moon energy? And you may want to check out your individual birth chart. There's a link in the description box for that if you want to look at that to see where these placements are happening in your unique birth chart. So first of all, full moon message for Taurus, full moon in Leo, which is happening, the full moon's happening on Thursday the 25th of January in the UK. So we've got growth, and you know, I was literally thinking expansion, just as I was clearing away the cards for the other one, and growth, expansion, it's a similar energy, isn't it? So we've got growth and expansion, or growth, which I take as expansion. Right, I'm using the Sacred Destiny deck for the aftershocks of the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So as I said, it felt like a catalyst. So it's like, let's see what's been triggered for you possibly by that placement, the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. And I think I used the Sacred Destiny Oracle because of that mention of the degree of fate with it happening in the last degree of Capricorn. Right, so wow, I like that. You've got success and you have voyage, and voyage, there is an element of expansion in that as well, isn't there? So we'll put that like that. And let's get you a final card for the energy of Pluto entering Aquarius. So messages from Pluto, basically. And this, it's the Power of Love deck. And it felt like an Aquarian deck because, I don't know, just that sense of, I know that Aquarius can be about individuality, but there's an element of community there as well. I know it sounds like complete contradictions, but you know what? Aquarius is a sign that's connected with eccentricity, and I guess there can be a lot of contradictions with eccentricity. So to me, that makes sense. Individuality and community all in one. But let's get the message. So what does Taurus need to know about their new 20-year cycle of Pluto being in Aquarius? So you have acceptance. It says you are ready to release control of situations or people and lovingly embrace the rhythm of life. And that's part of expansion as well, isn't it? Once you're able to accept certain things, you can expand. Whether it is, one of the things that you can accept sometimes is where something's not going to change or someone's not going to change. And it's like, well, okay, I accept that's not going to change, or now I can at least move on or do things differently rather than being in stuck situations. Like say if you were in a job that where things were just going to shit, like maybe not because of you, but maybe because of the structure, and maybe you've tried to change things, you've been to the boss, you've made suggestions, etc., and it's just not changing, and you're like, right, I've done every single thing that I can within my power to try and change this. It's not going to change. It's not in alignment with me. I'm going to have to move on. Because it's like you've outgrown the situation, and that's part of expansion as well, isn't it? Outgrowing something. So it's an interesting energy. So I'm going to get you a couple of tarot cards for each of these. So pride, again, that mention of pride. Sometimes pride can be in the form of wanting to stick to something or making it work, like where it's a form of control, isn't it? Wanting to control the situation, not maliciously, but because you want it to work out the way you want it to work. That can be a form of pride. But then, as I say, with that acceptance, it's like, if I want to grow, if I want to expand, if I want things to change, I have to accept it's not. And that's just one way of looking at it. There are other ways as well, but that's the one that came to mind here. Right, so let's get a couple of cards for growth first of all. So for the growth card, we have the King of Swords. And there's a element of maturity with that King of Swords, isn't there, as well? And also of being your own authority too. We've got the Nine of Pentacles. I like that because with that Nine of Pentacles, Upright, it can be the comfort zone, can't it? But with the King of Swords, because the King of Swords analyzes things as well, and there is a big thing about maturity and authority there, that for me, it would be assessing what you've outgrown, potentially. What have you outgrown? That's a big question here. Let's get a couple for the Voyage success card. Cards, should I say, not card. So the first one is the Hanged Man. Again, it can be upright, it can be a card of limbo. Yes, it is looking at different perspectives, spiritual growth, etc. But it is that limbo period of, again, of kind of introspection and considering things. And it's like, maybe now you've done that, or you're doing that, and it's time to sort of take it out now and see what you can do with it to expand. Let's get one more for the Voyage and Success cards. Yeah, letting go. I need to let go or open up with the Four of Pentacles. I would say with that Queen of Pentacles, it's if you haven't already done so, really considering your values and how you can use that to expand and grow. Right, acceptance. What do we need to know about that? Page of Swords. So that can often be about new truths. Wow, we've got the moving on card with the Six of Swords. Yeah, I love this. There really is a thing for you here with that expansion, I think, is a key word. I mean, let me just think. The whole thing with moving out of Capricorn, moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is the 10,000. Okay, I'll leave that because there's a lot of information here and I'm going to get confused, and it's probably going to confuse you as well. But the acceptance energy here, it's new truth, isn't it? So again, like the example I just gave about work with maybe you've had a new truth, and it doesn't just have to be work, it could be any situation where you're like, this isn't going to change, I have to accept that this is the way it is, but I can use my power to kind of do things differently and move on in my own way. Let me read you the message of this card. So this is for the full moon. So this is this may help you set intentions as well if you want to set any intentions. So it is card 5. I don't know, I'm looking at card 20. That doesn't make sense. So it says, reject stagnancy. To get unstuck, take action. The choice to grow should be made. Expect growing pains when making huge changes in your life. Change is a natural part of life and cannot be pushed against forever. Change should have aim and purpose. Be courageous and you will blossom. So it says, I choose growth. Think of a willow tree. Willows often grow on the sandy banks of highly shiftable and changeable rivers, yet they reach huge sizes, successfully growing and holding fast in an unpredictable habitat. How do they do this? When you see a young willow on the banks for a long while, it just looks like a feeble stick. It may have a few branches and leaves, but at first the trunk will be fine and flexible rather than robust. What we don't see immediately is the root base. The willow spends a lot of time establishing a veritable root city under the surface. These roots are long and strong and very numerous, finding their way into many nooks and crannies, holding onto rocks, other established tree roots, and anything that can help with their stability. These roots go off in all directions, thus securing their position just in case the earth begins to shift. Then and only then, once these root networks are established well enough, does the willow put its energy into further growth. The trunk begins to thicken and widen and harden and travel upwards to the sky. However, as they grow, the branches have little of the trunk's supportive thickness. They have instead the instruction that they must be flexible. Flexible means they can turn with the sun and survive punishing winds that might threaten to topple the rest of the tree. All of this growth is done with a purpose and a divine strategy. The waxing lunar cycle calls for growth, but not growth without aim or purpose. When we understand our current position, accept it, and decide to change, we will naturally grow as people. We might experience some growing pains. After all, transformation of any kind is rarely completely easy and trouble-free. Having a strong intention of what the results of our growth will be helps with gaining the courage and resilience to move forward with our growth and into the eventual blossoming of our true self. So where it says strong intentions, I think that's where that King of Swords comes in terms of your growth, having strong intentions. It speaks of roots, strong roots, and I think the values come in here with that Queen of Pentacles, and even with the Hanged Man, having strong roots and strong intentions to help with your growth. So that's that message. So that's full moon message overall. It's really contemplating what you've outgrown and then what your next move is, basically. So for the conjunction, what's been triggered, it's just, yours is just very, like, all of them are connected together, to be honest. Again, it's, I'd say the voyage is exploration. It's expansion, but through expansion, through exploration, coming out of that limbo, letting go, assessing what your values are, what you feel is worthwhile, and going towards that, to be honest with you. I think I will read just the voyage message. Success is success, isn't it? But I'll read the voyage message for you. So the voyage message, so the main part of the voyage message says, get ready, you are about to embark on a journey. It might be an inner sojourn or an outer voyage to a distant land. I feel it's going to be both, to be honest, because you've got the introspection with that hanged man. You've got the thought process with the King of Swords, but then you've got Pentacles as well. And the Magician is here as well. That's the power to literally create. Anyway, so it says, it might be a project or idea that is coming to life, but most certainly you are an intrepid traveller sallying forth into the unknown. Where do you want to go? What have you always wanted to do or be? This is the time to make it happen. Get prepared, have a clear vision. Again, vision, we've got the King of Swords there. That could be considered part of the vision as well, or being a visionary. Have a clear vision of what you want to experience, but also be prepared for the unexpected. That is part of the exhilaration of being a traveller. Remember to enjoy the journey as much as reaching the destination. That is important, remembering to enjoy the journey too. So overall, that what's been triggered, or what I would say has kind of been triggered with the conjunction, Sun conjunct Pluto and going into Aquarius now. The journey, isn't it? It's sort of, if you've been in limbo, it's time to do what you can to get out of that phase of limbo now and keep moving. So finally, this message was for Pluto entering Aquarius, the new cycle, the 20-year cycle, acceptance, as I say, accepting what's not working, what needs to, what, if there's any control that needs to be let go of, as well. And that, as I said, that can come in with that pride as well. It's having a new truth or developing a new truth and being willing to move on. So I think that's your message. I will leave your message there. Thank you for watching, Taurus. Take care. Welcome back, Gemini. We're going to start off with your full moon in Leo message. So again, the full moon is on the 25th, Thursday, the 25th of Jan in the UK. If you want to check out your individual birth chart, if you don't already know it, to kind of get a more unique, specific feel for where all the energies are happening, there's a link in the description box to access that. I'm going to be using the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck for the full moon message for you first of all. So that was really quick, wasn't it? We've got fruition. Okay. Let's next get your message for the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, which obviously it's already happened, but as I said, I wanted to let it happen and then kind of see what's been triggered, basically. So let's see what's been triggered. And obviously the sun, it shines a light, doesn't it? Illuminates things. So it's kind of like illuminating what has changed or what needed to change, what's transformed possibly. So what is Gemini's message for that? What do you need to know from, what message does Pluto have for us for that? You've got two, haven't you? You have fulfill. Wow, you know what? I love the fact that you've got fruition and fulfillment together. So it's a very abundant kind of energy in whatever abundance means to you. You've got trust as well. It could even be a period of what's transformed could be that you trust yourself more. That could be what feels like abundance to you. If you've had any doubts about yourself or who you are or anything like that, it could very well be that you're trusting yourself more. And that can be another way that pride shows up as well, can't it? In terms of whether or not you trust yourself. Sometimes if people trust themselves too much, well, it's not trusting themselves too much, but it can be just an ego thing, can't it? Where if we get to a point where we always think we're right about everything. And then the other part of pride, it can be where you don't trust yourself enough, and then again, pride and fear can go hand in hand, can't they? Sometimes, where because you don't trust yourself, there's like a pride. If you have to make any decisions or express something about yourself, it's like pride or fear that side of it stops you from letting that out. But let's get your message for Pluto entering Aquarius. What does Gemini need to know? I love it. I love it. So basically, fruition and fulfillment are this pretty much the same thing, and trust are the same thing, aren't they? Right. So it says you have a strong connection to your soul's loving voice and have faith in your intuition. So basically, with the transits that happened, right, there's a lot of information at the minute, and bear with me because there's just, there's all sorts going through my head, and it's all a mile a minute. So you had Capricorn in day-to-day astrology, not in terms of your unique birth chart. Pluto was in, for day-to-day astrology, it would have been in your 8th house, I believe. It would have been in your 8th house. So that is transformation. And now going into Aquarius, it's now in your 9th house. So if you transformed, it's like, again, it's perception, trust, perception. You are perceiving things, the world, who you are, everything in a different way, and probably with a greater sense of trust, or you are in the process of doing that. Let's get you a couple of tarot cards to go with each of these different messages. So let's get a couple for fruition, please. You've got the Hanged Man. And that is perception, isn't it, the Hanged Man? It's also, the Hanged Man is also about spiritual development. So again, if you're developing more trust in yourself, that is part of your spiritual development. If the High Priestess doesn't show up here, I'll be very surprised. I should have checked what was on the bottom, actually. It's the Ten of Swords. Let's see what else comes up. So you've got Death, which we know you've transformed, and the Ten of Wands as well. Let's look at the fulfillment and trust cards for the conjunction energy. I knew it. I knew she was going to show up. She had to come up with this type of energy. Anything else? I like that. Wow, that's all major. So you've got a lot of major arcana, so that does suggest a massive transformation. So with the High Priestess, the Chariot and the Tower, if you are able to trust in your intuition more now, it does help you to move forward, doesn't it? With the Chariot, we can refer to the Chariot sometimes as the balance between heart and mind. And I would say that anything in your life that falls apart, you may be, if you're not already there, it's like going into a phase where when things fall apart, you trust that you'll get through it. You trust that it was for the best. Obviously depends on what the individual circumstances, because, you know, some things are pretty extreme, but at the very least, you sort of trust that you'll get through it, I would say. And finally, for the last card, the trust card, Pluto entering Aquarius energy. You've got the Nine of Cups. Let's get one more. That's getting through it, isn't it? One thing that I can say with this Nine of Cups for probably the last month or so, it's kept on feeling like peace of mind to me. And I know it's a weird interpretation, but it's literally felt like peace of mind, and trust is peace of mind. Five of Cups there, that to me, it doesn't mean anything necessarily bad is going to happen. But again, as I said, even if things do go to shit, even if there are tower moments, even if there is sorrow and pain, it's trusting, like it's that transforming into a place where you really trust and feel and know that you can get through it, a completely different perception. It's like, you know, when people go through awakenings and then it's like everything feels like a learning experience, doesn't it? You get to the point where everything feels like a learning experience, the good, the bad, everything. It just all feels like learning. Not to say that you don't hurt, because you do. It's not like you're becoming human and just you're living on a bloody cloud where nothing gets to you. It does get to you, but you kind of know you're going to get through it. So yeah, I'm just repeating myself, but I'll read the fruition message. And what else should I read? I think I'll read, do I need to read? I'll read the trust message. I know you're going to get kind of 2 trust messages read, but it might be helpful. So, right, the harvest moon fruition. It says, as the seasons turn, there is always a time when all the potential of the spring beginnings is manifest. The crops grow tall and are ready to harvest, and they have done this from a fallow field into which we have planted seeds. The trees have flowered and now there is a fruit to pick. There is fruit to pick. It is time for the harvest. It says, I welcome the joyous fruition of all the intentions I set. I forgot to say, actually, if you want to set intentions with anything here with for the full moon in Leo on the 25th, you might want to do that. And these kind of energies, you might want to set intentions around trusting yourself more. That's just, you don't have to, but that's just a suggestion based on the energies that are here. Anyway, it says, when we are able to bring something to fruition, whether it is be a planting, a project, or a change in ourselves, it is the perfect time to celebrate all that we are grateful for and to mark our achievement. We may have worked very hard to bring this new situation into reality. We may have been patient in the way we have worked over time and sacrificed much to make it happen. The harvest moon is the time to be happy about our success and to share it with others. Our ancestors would dance and sing and have community festivals of thanks, all to celebrate the fruition of all that hard work and to thank the gods for their assistance. These times of high energy are also times to really focus on your body, as they can be quite taxing on our systems. If we don't take care, it is often the time we can get ill. The moon normally falls on the moon normally falls on the moon closest to the autumn equinox. Oh, this moon normally falls on the moon closest to the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere. Okay, so again, it feels like transformation. You may have had to overcome a lot of burdens, or you are in the process of doing that to again to get to that point where you have a greater sense of trust. I mean, it can be relating to you overall. It could be a very specific situation or a certain type of situation that you've learned to have a greater sense of trust in yourself with. You know, say for example in relationships, if you always struggled in relationships with people of any capacity, you might have a greater sense of confidence and trust in yourself now, in the way that you deal with those things. With work situations or your career path, that it might be the same thing, having a greater sense of trust in how you deal with that. Spiritually, you might have a greater sense of trust in yourself spiritually. I did say that High Priestess, the Hanged Man, that is very spiritual energy. So let's look at the trust message from the Sacred Destiny book. So that's what I said, what's been triggered by the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So what am I looking at? Trust. It's just all repeats here in your reading, to be honest, Gemini. So yeah. Right, it says, this is a powerful and important card to receive, even when things seem parched or not fruitful. I love it mentions fruitful. A deeper energy speaks of the power of your inner knowing, the High Priestess. Meditate, trust those nudges from the universe. Your celestial advisors are close now. You are now open to receive some of the most important messages of your life through intuition. Your intuition is spot on, so trust it. And even if there are some areas of your life that seem lackluster, know that other areas are being fertilized for a resplendent future. Have faith and know that there is a higher purpose. Love that. I think that's it, because I've already read that this trust message, and it was pretty much the same thing about having faith in your intuition. So as I say, if you've been through a long period of time where you didn't, for over that 15-year period in Capricorn, where you didn't trust yourself, your intuition, the decisions you've needed to make, just even getting through certain experiences, it's now a time where you're able to do that. You know, you're able to trust yourself more, your choices more, your intuition more, and that you can survive, that you can get through certain experiences. So I will leave your message there, Gemini. Thank you for watching. Take care. So welcome back, Cancerians. I forgot to say for the other signs, or some of the other signs, that the messages are for Cancer, Sun, Moon and Rising. We're going to start off with your full moon message first. Full moon in Leo. Again, it's happening on Thursday the 25th of Jan in the UK. So I'm using the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck for this part. So what do Cancerians need to know for the full moon in Leo, first of all? If the cards will come out. Right, I wasn't even going to take that, but the way it fell, you've got the Void. That actually makes sense. Based on the astrology, it kind of makes sense. I will read the message though, just to check. So next we're going to get you a message for the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. It's actually, I should have said this at the beginning actually, it's called, some people refer to it as a Kazemi when that happens. So yeah. But let's see what your message is for the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, which obviously it's already happened, but I said it's like pressing a button and then there's like a massive long process that comes with it. So it's like, what's been triggered for you? I'm referring it to it as a trigger, as the trigger. What does Cancer need to know for the Sun conjunct Pluto? You've got, I love that. I love the way these messages are coming out, especially when there's two and they relate. So you've got going forward, new beginnings. That's great. And finally, we'll get you a message for Pluto entering Aquarius. So just to point out as well, if you don't already know your birth chart and you want to check it out, your unique birth chart, then see the description box for a link to do that. All right, so you have forgiveness. Wow, okay. So I'm going to get you a couple of tarot cards to go with each of these oracle cards, or group of oracle cards. So first of all, for the void, the full moon. So for the void message, what does Cancer need to know for the full moon? You've got the Two of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Two of Swords, Page of Pentacles. I'm going to get you one more. I was thinking I'm going to get about 2 cards for the each oracle card, and then if I need an extra one, I'll get that. And you get 4. That's quite a lot. I will take them. I don't know if it will help or make it more confusing, but I will take them. Right, let's get you something for the Sun conjunct Pluto message. Not surprised at all. Gemini just got that as well, but theirs was in reverse, the Hanged Man. Right, anything else for the Sun conjunct Pluto message? We've got the 7 of Pentacles and we have the Hierophant. And let's look at forgiveness. Okay, that was quick. Do we take that? Yes, we'll take it. So the forgiveness card was Pluto, to do the Pluto entering Aquarius. Try that again. The moon, and I will get one more for that because that is, of course we get 2 more. So you're getting a lot of cards, Cancer, more than the other signs got. You have the 10 of Wands and the Wow. You know, I already got a message from this when that 10 of Pentacles came out, but I just wanted to see what else would come out about. If any Cancerian, Sun, Moon or Rising out there are feeling that they need to kind of forgive. Why am I hearing the word repent? I'm not even religious and the word repent is coming to mind. What is repent? I mean, you know, it's one of those words where you kind of know what it means, but you feel like to get to say exactly, you need to look in the dictionary. It's making up for something, isn't it? Repent. It is to do with forgiveness. It's like, it's not only forgiving something, but actually taking action to kind of fix it, repair it, start again, that kind of energy. So I'm thinking with that, is it to do with where, because as I said, the Pluto being in Capricorn, it was a 15-year cycle, wasn't it? Where you didn't honor yourself in whatever way, that capacity that can be. That could be in a number of ways. In relationships with people, whether it be family, romantic, maybe there were situations you didn't honor yourself there. Maybe in terms of what you want to be happy. In terms of even knowing what your own sense of happiness is, you may be feeling the need to forgive yourself for that, for not honoring your own sense of happiness. In terms of whatever felt or feels like abundance for you, whether it is something to do with career or just your choices in life, just your day-to-day, what you do. It just feels like there might be someone out there that might, or at least one person, that sort of feeling a need to sort of, this word repent is really weird, and I don't mean it in the religious context necessarily, but sort of forgiving yourself for not honouring certain things, and now sort of being like, right, that's happened, I forgive myself for not honouring myself, and I'm going to move forward now, and I'm going to do what's right, what feels right for me, what makes me happy, what feels abundant, etc. That sort of thing is coming to mind. as I said, you feel free to look up your unique individual birth chart, but day to day for Cancerian, Sun, Moon or Rising, the transitions happened. So when Pluto was in Capricorn, it would have been your 7th house. So that obviously is to do with relationships, balance. Again, I guess that's a reason why that comes up. And it's moved into your 8th house, not 9th house, 8th house, which is about transformation. So now you could be going into a massive 15-year cycle of massive transformation of your life. If you've gotten to a point where you feel like you want to repent, I'm going to put it in quotation, speech marks, whatever you want to call it. It's almost like you want to transform your life because it wasn't necessarily, it's not to say you were completely unhappy, like it could even be just one particular area of your life, but wherever you didn't honor yourself previously, it's like wanting to transform that and change it. So let's get into the cards because I've just talked and talked and talked. So let's look at that the void card first of all for the new moon. For the full moon. The new moon is in Aquarius, by the way, as well, so that would be a really good time to set intentions. Right, it says, I love this. This is kind of what I was saying. It says, dark moon, the void, your time to rest and reset. The key word being reset, I feel, because that repent thing, I think repent for me, it's reset, isn't it? It's resetting things, is here. Release all that does not serve you. Stop resisting. The void is a time of possibility, not just darkness. There is nothing to fear in letting go of negative patterns and habits, so let go of the old. It says, I freely release what I no longer need. While the full moon, full attractive power, gets all the publicity, the dark moon, which offers the infinite possibilities of a clean slate, that's key as well, clean slate, is just as powerful in its own way. The dark moon often looks like just a darker piece of the night sky, and in some cultures the way it appears harkens back to the idea of the void. It is a place of unknowable secrets, a state of everything and nothing, or a place to prepare or rest before moving on. To me personally, there is a relieving, restful quality about this darkest moon that allows pondering and decisions about what we can jettison before making fresh plans for the new moon, which is the next day. Okay, it's referring to the dark moon and the new moon. If you find yourself resisting the dark moon, it is usually a clear sign that you are being stubborn about letting go of something that is old and not serving you in a positive way any longer. That's a kind of form of pride, isn't it? Stubbornness of holding on to something. Anyway, often that is a fear or pattern that was created to protect you in some way. However, now it is outdated, yet you are still carrying it or acting it out. Know that this moon is powerful, but it is also incredibly gentle in the way it helps you unravel what actually is so you can embrace the fresh start of tomorrow. Relax, reframe, and think about how much better your life will be without the bad habit, fear, or pattern. Get very clear about the possibilities of this transformation and what it will give you in real terms. This is the power of the dark moon. It is the optimum time in the cycle to release the old and cut the cords of relationships and traumas that deserve no time and attention in your present. So key messages here before I even look at the tarot cards for the full moon with Cancer, and you may want to set intentions around this. It's your choice. Reset is one. There was another one and I've forgotten what it is, but definitely reset. Resetting is a key, feels like a key word here. What was the other one? If I don't say these things straight away, I just always forget. Clean slate, but I think reset is the main thing. Let's have a look at these. So I mean, the Two of Swords here for me, that is two truths. That is that is where pride can come in, can't it? Where it mentioned needing to let something go. It's like on the one hand, you may have known that things needed to change, but you may have been resistant to it even. I mean, sometimes it can be that you don't know what to do. That can be the void, can't it? The Two of Swords. So you could take the full moon as a time to sort of really contemplate what it is, a time of release, isn't it? What needs to be let go of, what has held you back. Page of Pentacles, it's a fresh start, but it's physical. I mean, obviously you're going to think about it first, but it is physical. It's planting a new seed. That Page of Pentacles is. You've got the Queen of Cups there. That is Cancerian energy, and to me, I've often said with the Queen of Cups, it's honoring your emotions, and then with the King of Pentacles there, once you have that sense of inner security from honoring your emotions, then you have a foundation that you can use to sort of take out into the world and build your life from that point. With the King of Pentacles, you have the strength to build whatever you want to build in whatever way you want to build it. So let's now look at, so that's your message for the full moon. So as I said, reset is a key theme here. That's the key theme. So what's triggered with the sun, the conjunction between the sun and Pluto, you've got, it's a similar energy. It's almost like it's backwards in a way, where it's like the forgiveness, well, it's not backwards because obviously things aren't necessarily linear, especially when it comes to emotions and spiritual stuff, but it's almost like there's a need to forgive and reset, and then you can go forward and have the new beginning. But yeah, you don't have to worry about things being linear necessarily. So with that Hanged Man, that for me, that's similar to that Two of Swords energy. It's that period of rest to sort of to be able to reset, the contemplation, and then deciding what is worth it going forward. As I said, I already spoke about where you may have dishonored yourself in terms of or felt that you didn't honor yourself in terms of what you wanted, what would have made you happy, what felt abundant to you. That feels like that Hierophant energy. It's where sort of where you may have followed rules that just weren't you, it wasn't in alignment with you, it wasn't for you, you know, like kind of going along with things sometimes. But with the Seven of Pentacles, it's really considering, well, what is worth it? What does feel like it's in alignment with me? What do I really want? Which of these do I want to read? I'm going to read the going forward message for you. Let's read the, if I can actually get the right book out, that would help. So going forward. So the main message for going forward, it says, when you receive this card, fertility, productivity, love, health, abundance, and fulfillment are ahead for you. Things are growing and expanding in your life. Keep going forward. Sometimes it may be easy to be distracted by what's occurring around you, but this card indicates that it is important to not let anything hold you back from increasing the bounty in your life. Step up and know that your needs will be taken care of. Your life is escalating and intensifying in the best possible way and for your highest good. So it's, as I say, again, with that, it's like having that reset energy so that you then, and a period of rest as well, so that you can actually move forward and have new beginnings. I've already explained what these mean, so I don't sort of feel the need to do it again, but the Hanged Man feels, and the combination of the Hanged Man with the Seven of Pentacles kind of feels like the reset energy, and then the Hierophant for me is that letting go of what's not needed. And as I said, just to point out, because obviously I said at the beginning with all the Aquarius energy, I feel like there is a need for more compassion. It probably will be a period of renewed interconnectedness and community, but a part of that is it's a new identity individually and collectively as well. So it's bringing it all together, isn't it? I said going from the restrictions that can come with the lower vibe of Capricorn to the liberation that can come with Aquarius energy as well. But it's putting it all together again. It's not just about being 100% selfish, and it's all about what each individual wants and not giving a shit about anybody else. It's knowing who you are and knowing who you want and bringing that into the collective as well. So forgiveness, I think did I read the message? I don't even know if I read it. It says, you are now able to activate the power of love in order to release past hurt. So it's just that releasing whatever you need to release, whether it is hurts, whether it is situations, ways of doing things, patterns, for your own sense of abundance. With the moon card being there, you may, in that period, if there is a period of rest and within that reset, considering what the burdens are for you, what has hurt you, doing a bit of a deep dive. And yeah, that is painful, obviously. But that is necessary if you want to be more proactive in gaining your happiness and your sense of abundance, then yeah, there's a necessity for a deep dive emotionally, and to think, what do I need to let go of emotionally and possibly practically as well? What do I need to do differently to have the life that I want? So I think that's it, Cancer. It felt like a lot, that did. I think yours is quite long, but it's okay, it's fine. I'll leave your message there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Welcome back, Leo. So I'm going to get your full moon message from the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck first of all. So this is happening, the full moon is happening in your sign, and obviously with all the sun's movements as well, because the sun rules Leo, you may be feeling things quite intensely too. So you may want to check your birth chart if you feel like it, and if you don't already know, there's a link in the description box to do that, to see where the planets, the transits and everything are happening exactly. But let's start off with your full moon message. So for Leo, sun, moon and rising, what do we need to know for this full moon? If you want to set any intentions, the messages may help you to do that too. So you've got two messages, and I'm only going to be reading one of them. Oh, and I know which one I'm going to be reading, right? You've got acceptance and you've got balance. So the reason I say I know which one I'm going to be reading is because in day-to-day astrology, not for your unique birth chart, but for day-to-day astrology, the transits of the Sun and Pluto moving from Capricorn to Aquarius, it's gone from your 6th house into your 7th house. And obviously 7th house is connected to Libra energy. Balance is it's relationships, but it's balance as well. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be reading the balance card. In fact, let me put that one on top to remind me. I know this is for the full moon message, but you're the 5th individual sign reading I've done so far, and to be frank, the messages are connecting. I'll explain in a minute. So next I'm going to get your message for the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto, because as I said, it felt like a catalyst. Like it's not just a literal all of a sudden, like it could be a tower for some, but it feels more like a catalyst where you press a button to set off a process. So flipping a switch, and then it's like a process. So it's like what's been triggered for you. So for Leo, what do we feel has been triggered with that conjunction between the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn? I'm going to try that again because that is far too many. So I'm using Sacred Destiny, the Sacred Destiny Oracle for this. I think what attracted me to it was that mention of like the because the conjunction happened in like the final degrees, it was like the degree of fate, wasn't it? So Sacred Destiny felt like a good choice for that. Nope. What I think Power wanted to come out, but let's try that again. Try it again. Leo is struggling. What does Leo need to know about the conjunction, which has already happened? Patience, okay. I think patience is a part of balance as well, isn't it, really? But let's, in trying to get a good balance. So finally, what is your message for Pluto entering Aquarius? Again, this is like a new 20-year chapter for everybody. So, and it's going to be more connected to your 7th house. So what does Leo, Sun, Moon or Rising need to know for the action? Wow, that's it. See, it's interesting, isn't it? You've got two ends of the spectrum here. If you're thinking of balance, you've got patience on one side and action on the other. So interesting that comes out. But let's see what your tarot cards are. So yeah, as I was saying, I've noticed in about minimum 3 or maybe even 4 of the other readings that I've done, the messages have been interconnected. I mean, it's not surprising because it's all connected to the same parts of, even though the transits are different, it's all happening in similar areas of your chart. So yeah, I mean, as much as the full moon is in Leo, Leo is actually the opposite. It's like the partner in a way, or the opposite of Aquarius in the tarot. In astrology, and obviously the full moon, as much as it's happening in Leo, it is happening during Aquarius season. So yeah, let's get a couple of cards for the balance and acceptance cards for the full moon for you first of all. You've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Hierophant, and I will get one more, the Ace of Swords. That very much feels like the whole thing that I was talking about in terms of the movements of the planets, of things going into Aquarius, of knowing your truth, but you know, how do you bring that to the collective, and assessing the old as well, like the old ways, and maybe bringing a bit of the old into the new. I mean, the Wheel of Fortune is a card of change, and that's balance as well, balance between the old and the new. So let's look at the Patience card. And the old doesn't just have to mean, I've got to keep that, I wasn't sure, but I'm going to keep it. It's justice, isn't it? That is another card of balance. What was I going to say? I've lost it now, haven't I? Yeah, it's gone, it's gone. It's gone. Let's just get one more for that. The Magician. That Magician really feels like personal power. Okay, let's get a card for the action. Some cards for the action run. So we've got the Queen of Swords and the Moon. Get one more for that. High Priestess. I like the combination of the Moon and the... This all very much feels like truth, doesn't it, here? Because you've got your sense of inner knowing, hidden, what's hidden, what you know that's hidden. I don't mean what you know that's hidden, but where you need to discover the hidden parts of yourself and the truth, bringing that to the forefront as your truth, so that you can take action with that. Let's first of all have a look at the Balance card. And with the Acceptance card, I think, was it Cancerians that just got that, or Gemini? I can't remember now, and it was only like not that long ago. There's a saying, and I can't remember, I'm going to butcher it if I even try to say it the way it's meant to be said, but it's about accepting what you cannot change and changing what you cannot accept. That comes to mind here with that. So let's look at the Balance message first of all. So it says, seek balance. Extremes of anything are rarely healthy or useful. There may be an overreaction that has caused the issue. Ground yourself and allow your strength to rise from there. Be aware of where the imbalances in your life are at present. I seek and maintain healthy balance in my life. So it says, working with the lunar cycle on a regular basis helps us actually experience the flow and balance of nature. The moon shows us the gradual and peaceful process of waxing and waning and the phases of perfect balance within. Our bodies, our minds, and our human spirit seek balance, yet perfect balance is almost impossible to achieve. Try and think on this. If we try to stand on one leg and balance ourselves, no matter how good at balancing on one leg we may be, it is a kind of dance, is it not? The large and small muscles in our legs adjust to keep us upright, always moving, never perfectly still. The rest of our body is also performing a myriad of adjustments, a little to the right here in one moment, a little to the center there. The point is that balance is a process. That might be where that patience comes in, actually. Something we can actively seek if we are wise. We need to know when we are unbalanced so we can return to homeostasis. It is useful to know where our imbalances lie and to make a decision about moving towards a more balanced version. Self-reflection helps identify this. When we are too something, like for example working too long, thinking too fast, eating too much, we need to be honest with ourselves so we can identify this quite easily. Allowing ourselves a more considered and balanced view invites a true peacefulness into our lives, something that many people crave in this incredibly busy and chaotic world. Balance allows us to understand that overwhelm isn't a place we want to visit, let alone set up home in. I like that. And just to point out, I haven't said this for every single reading that I've done. I've probably said it for one or two. But it mentions a companion stone if anyone's into crystals of bloodstone to help with this in terms of creating balance. So yeah, as I said, there's a sense of a need for change here, or you are going through a process. The word process seems to be coming up a lot with this as well. A process of change, of balancing, I would say, the old truths or other truths, society's truths even, and your truth. And again, that element of accepting what you can't change and changing what you can't accept. And when I say change what you can't accept, so I think I gave in I don't know if it was the Aries individual reading I just gave, where, for example, if you're in a job that you hate and you've tried to change things, you've tried to do things differently in your individual role, you've spoken to management, etc., you've just tried really hard to make things better, to improve things, but nothing you're doing is working. It's like it's time to move on, isn't it? Probably if you've done everything you can and the situation isn't changing, so it's like you have to change. You've outgrown that whole thing of outgrowing things. But I did say that pride can get in the way sometimes, where there's like this stubborn determination that no, I've got to make it better, I've got to change it, I've got to be the one that changes it. And it's like when that happens, it's like you got to let go, man. You've done all you can. There's nothing else you can do. It's out of your control. Your personal power can only go so far. So yeah, let's look at that patience card. As I said, in terms of things being a process, that may be where the patience comes in. That if you want things, if you want to get justice and to have that balance that you want, there are some battles you can't win with that Five of Swords. Same as the example I just said, pretty much said. It's pretty much what I just said. Your personal power can only go so far. Where if you can't change a situation, sometimes you just have to take that power, that personal power and that ability to change things and that creative energy, you have to take it somewhere else and use it elsewhere. But it can be a process. It's not necessarily an overnight decision, of overnight happening from a decision where it's like, right, I'm going to leave, I'm going to do something different. And it suddenly just, it becomes better. It's a process. Like I said, with that thing about the Sun conjunct Pluto being a catalyst, it's a trigger to a process. But I'll read the patience message, just the main part of the message for you. And this can be, you apply it to your life however it relates, whether it is to do with work, relationships, your home life, your day-to-day, anything at all. You'll get it however it's relevant to you, if it resonates. So it says, in dense fog, it's best to be quiet and still for now. Don't go forward. Wait, it's hard to see what lies ahead and things may not be as they seem. Things that seem one way may in fact be completely different. Be patient, the truth will emerge. In this state of obscured visibility, your imagination and intuition can be sparked. If you can wait long enough, your dreams and inner yearnings can come to fruition. Listen to your intuition and pay attention to those seemingly random thoughts. Okay. And I think this is where it's like, as I say, that the messages are really connected, because for me, this kind of feels, it is the energy of what you can't change. It's almost like this connects to that in terms of acceptance and change and acceptance and that sort of thing. And then this energy feels more like that patience energy, where it mentions listening to your intuition and being a little bit introspective in order to be able to take action. So they are really connected. So I'm not going to read this from the book. It already says what it says. You have the courage to express the unique, loving colours of your soul going within, isn't it? It's trusting who you are, trusting what you know, using your intuition. Again, I mentioned if there is anything, any hidden parts of yourself, or there's anything within you in terms of your intuition that needs to be brought to the surface, that you need to explore to make your decisions and take action, then do that. But I think that's it, Leo. I think that's your message. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Welcome back, Virgo. So we're going to get your message for the full moon in Leo first of all. You may want to use this message to set intent, and any of the other messages actually, to set intentions for the full moon in Leo. Full moons are usually about a release or bringing things to fruition. If you may want to check your birth chart, just to, if you feel like it, you don't have to. There's a link in the description box to check where all of the placements are happening in your unique birth chart as well. But let's get your full moon message first of all. The messages are for Virgo's sun, moon or rising, just to point that out. So you've got two full moon messages. You've got wisdom and self-reflection. I quite like that. That's a nice nice connection. And let's next get you the message for the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn. As I said, I know the event's already happened, but I wanted to see the energies after. So as I said, I said it felt like a catalyst, and it's, for me, it's like what's been triggered, because it's like pressing the button on a complex machine where it's now going to be a process for the next 20 years chapter. So let's see what's potentially been triggered for you. I'm using the Sacred Destiny deck for this, as I said previously. It felt like a good deck to use because of that reference to the conjunction happening at the final degree in Capricorn. It's like the degree of fate. So yeah, Sacred Destiny felt good. We've got power. I like that. And let's get you a message for Pluto being in Aquarius, Pluto entering Aquarius. That's already happened as well. So I'm going to use the power of love for this. It felt like Aquarian energy that the deck does. I don't know why. I guess because as much as it feels like a contradiction, because Aquarius can be very individualistic, but at the same time there's a sense of community as well. It's an integration of the two, isn't it? So yeah, I don't know. It just felt like it's Aquarius can be connected to eccentric energy as well. And I guess with eccentricity comes contradictions, possibly. So yeah, individualism and community in one thing together, it seems like a contradiction, but yeah, makes sense to me. So let's get your message for Pluto entering Aquarius. What do we need to know? You have present. You live in the moment and are able to bring forth the energy of love in your current circumstances. That present is making me think of Eckhart Tolle, because I actually really like Eckhart Tolle, but any video you watch of Eckhart Tolle or any talk he does, or Tully it might be actually, but I'll refer to him as Tolle, he always speaks of being present, doesn't he? As in being here in the moment. That's like one of his answers for almost everything. I mean, obviously he puts a different spin on it in each talk, but that is like the key theme with him, and it's just made me think of that, of being present. So yeah, let's get you a couple of tarot cards for each of these oracle cards as well. So for the full moon, what do we need to know for the wisdom and self-reflection cards? You've got the moon. That doesn't surprise me with self-reflection being there, to be honest. Not at all. What else do we need to know for the wisdom and self-reflection cards? We've got the King of Swords again, self-reflection. That feels wisdom even, and that feels relevant there. And we have the Page of Wands. That's exploration, isn't it? So I like these energies. So I don't know, maybe introspective, possibly, but I guess all of these energy together, they are self-reflection, really, aren't they? That is very much an energy of self-reflection, of kind of going within and figuring things out. What are you already wise to? What do you already know about yourself, about the world, about what you want, what you believe in, and what else is there to explore, to expand on that. Let's get a couple more messages, a couple more tarot cards. So for the Power card, which is for the conjunction, like what's been triggered. So let's have a look at that. You've got the Ten of Wands. Okay. Three of Cups. I'll just get one more. So I was intending to do about 2 cards, but I feel like if I feel like I need an extra one, I will. Five of Cups. Wow. I don't know if for some of you there may be some consideration here. What the conjunction may have triggered for you is where you felt disempowered within groups, communities, any situations where you should have been supported. Because with the Five of Cups, I've often said, because the Three Cups are spelled out for me, they are like that literal Three of Cups. Situations where you haven't been supported by others, and contemplating that, where that's been a burden to you. And I guess with the self-reflection stuff, because the messages are all connected, it's how to address that, how to come out of that. How do you become more self-empowered? If you've been disempowered, how are you self-empowered now? And it may be a process. It might not be something that's already happened. It may be a process. I'm just looking at my information, and for you, so the conjunction, it happened in Capricorn. It would have been in your 5th house. That is to do with like creativity. It can be to do with children, fun. It's your willpower, isn't it? Your sense of will as well. And then now everything is all the energies have shifted into your 6th house, because Aquarius is your 6th house. I'm talking about day-to-day astrology. Obviously in your unique birth chart it'll be different. 6th house, which is Virgo, that is about analysis, it's duty, responsibility. However, because it's connected to Aquarius, it's in Aquarius, or Aquarius is in your 6th house now, it may be bringing a I don't know if I want to say a sense of fairness to it, probably more the element of just sort of innovation and liberation with that, because Aquarius, that is what Aquarius is about, isn't it? So in terms of where you felt responsible, or where you've not been supported by others in certain situations, there may be a big transformation with that over the next 20 years, where you are able to feel more free, and you are able to find groups or communities or situations that are more genuinely supportive to you. Let's look at present. Let's get a couple of cards for present. That is the Pluto enters Aquarius energy, which it's Pluto's in Aquarius now. So what do you need to know for that? I don't know, I get this feeling with Virgo that there is the thing with Virgo where Virgo can feel like having to do everything by themselves. And I could be wrong about that, but I think that's something that can be said in astrology, because Virgo can be connected to that perfectionist energy, and perfectionists want to do the job right, don't they? So a lot of the time they might reject help, or even if there is support, it's just not sufficient for them, or so it's as I say, it's an energy of doing it by yourself or having to do things by yourself. Then you've got that Nine of Wands energy, which I say can be about, it's an energy of still standing, where you've struggled, where you've battled through things often on your own, I suppose it could be, and you're still standing. There might be a need to kind of acknowledge how far you've come with that present here. Acknowledging how far you've come, that comes to mind. Anything else? That's too many. What was that? Five of that was in my head. When I was looking at that Nine of Wands, the Five of Wands was actually in my head. I don't know why. But yeah, it's what you've been through, what you've struggled with, the struggles, the battles, again, acknowledging how far you've come. I don't know why that's so important, but I don't know at this point. Page of Cups. Let's just get one more after the Page of Cups. That could be part of that self-reflection as well. So we've got the Page of Cups, then the Magician. That's interesting. I'll come back to that. I will come back to it. Right, let's look at the full moon energies first of all. And I think I've already said that if you want to use this to help set intentions, then please do so. So I'm going to look at the self-reflection card. Yeah, I'm going to look at the self-reflection energy, just because the moon, the King of Swords, and the Page of Wands really feel like self-reflection to me. So what do we need to know about this self-reflection card? It's 17. It says, be curious about your own nature. Oh yeah, that's Page of Wands is the energy of curiosity, isn't it, as well, actually. Choose to turn inwards, the moon, to quietly contemplate who and what you are and want. And the King of Swords can be about knowing what you want. The more you know about yourself, the more you are able to steer yourself well. Know what you believe and why, yet be open to the development of new beliefs and ways of being. It says, I'm not afraid to look deeply at myself in all aspects. Both scientists and spiritual practitioners believe there is much benefit to be had in self-reflection. The process involves us thinking about what is happening, how we react, and make sense of it. It exposes our strengths and weaknesses and gives us information to make changes if we choose to. It gives us a small respite in the busyness of life and allows our brain to make some sense of the chaos we experience each day. As self-reflection is something we all would benefit from doing, why don't we do it? First, self-reflection requires us to slow down somewhat and turn our awareness inward. Something that does not come naturally to some, and especially not the highly extroverted. Starting small and maybe getting assistance with someone else as a guide can solve this. Second, some people are not sure exactly how to self-reflect and so do not try. To change this, examine the various ways to self-reflect during a regular 5-minute recap of the day as you commute home or before dinner. Sit quietly and think about all that has happened and your reactions to it on this moon, every moon cycle. Record how you feel each day. There are many ways to self-reflect and one will suit you. Third, some people self-reflect, but when they do, they don't like the feelings of vulnerability, anger, guilt, or even defensiveness this incurs. Why go there when it isn't pleasant? Here is where we grow our self-responsibility. Short-term pain will certainly be worth long-term gain if we do not ignore the elephant in the room. A regular practice of self-reflection allows us to intercede before problems get too big. We can, for example, catch ourselves before something gets way out of hand. We can apologize and make amends to someone for our mistake. We can catch negative patterns and stop them in their tracks. The theme of waning gibbous moons, of which this is the first, is the process of self-reflection and building resilience. And it gives you a companion stone here. If you're into crystals, tiger's eye might help with self-reflection. This is really interesting energy. However, because it's a general reading, it almost, I feel like there's no way I could tell someone what you are particularly being self-reflective. I mean, actually, tell a lie. It could be about your remote. Yeah, I've just said, I've just completely contradicted myself there. I was going to say there's no way I could tell you. It could be self-reflection in terms of your emotions, hidden emotions. It could be self-reflection in terms of your identity, because the Page of Wands can be about identity. It could be self-reflection in terms of your relationship to authority. We've just come out of that with well, as I said, I don't feel like it's a sudden flip a switch and then we're done, but there was that element of things in Capricorn energy of our relationship with authority, collectively transforming our relationship with authority. So that might be something you might be reflecting on as well. You might be reflecting on your knowledge, your sense of wisdom about what you want. Was there anything else that I was thinking of? Yeah, those are examples of the things you might be reflecting on. But I mean, it's obviously it's down to you, you know. But yeah, definitely kind of, it's advice to do a sort of deep dive and explore within and sort of see what's hidden there, and what you can learn from that. Because what is wisdom? It's learning, isn't it? It's learning. So yeah, I can't believe I just said that there's no way I can tell you. There's examples here, but obviously I think the point I was going to make is, because it's a general reading, it's going to be different for everyone, isn't it? What you discover when you do your self-reflection, it will be different. But yeah, there were examples there. Let's look at this power card first, next. And this was for the conjunction, like what's been triggered. And I specifically mentioned disempowerment, in group situations in particular, whether the group be a community, your family, your friends, work situations, whatever. But let's look at the power message. So the sun illuminates things, doesn't it? It shines a light on things, and it's shining on being conjunct with Pluto, where the planets are next to each other. It shines a light on Pluto, about what needs to transform. And Pluto is an energy of power as well. Pluto is power, it's transformation, it's rebirth. How would Pluto amplify the sun? Again, what needs to be changed? But I suppose the sun represents the self, doesn't it? It's the outer self, it's what you show to the world. So very much an energy of sort of considering what needs to be transformed, partly in how you express yourself and how you show up in the world. That's one thing that comes to mind. I don't think I've said that in the other readings, but yeah, it's come up here. Right, it says, this is your time. This is the time to claim your power and step into your potential. This doesn't necessarily mean that you will be without fear. You might feel uncertain, but do it anyway. Be courageous, let the world hear your voice, take a stand up for yourself and for others. Share your passion, teach from the heart, write, and your words will have great meaning. Hold your body as if you are incredibly valiant, noble, and brave. After all, you are. So yeah, again, as I've said in the other readings now, that these messages are very much connected for each sign. So part of that self-reflection, for me, it would be thinking about where you've been disempowered or felt, if you haven't, literally, because sometimes it can be, it's not to say it's all in the mind, but obviously if we have certain traumas or experiences or mindsets, that can impact how we feel, can't it? And sometimes it can be more to do with where we're coming from than where others are coming from. Like what we've experienced can impact the way we are with other people. What was the point I was trying to make now? So yeah, part of the deep dive and self-reflection on where you felt disempowered. I'll say where you felt, whether it's literally that people have purposely done stuff, or whether it's coming from whatever you've been through, where you felt disempowered, and what do you need to get that sense of power back. That's what's been triggered. And again, so as I said, it's going from the 5th house energies to 6th house for you. Capricorn was in your 5th house for day-to-day astrology, and Aquarius is in your 6th house. So self-reflection does make sense, because the 6th house, it is very much about analysis. It's I analyze, isn't it? And then Aquarius is community, so that makes sense for the community element of things as well. There may have been power struggles for you previously as well, because of that 5th house, the 5th house being to do with your will, and Capricorn being structures, authority, that sort of thing. You may have transformed, or still be at the tail end of transforming power struggles with others too. And I would say with the self-reflection, think about your role in that. And that's not about blame or anything like that, but just contemplate all aspects of it, the role that everyone played in it. And I don't know exactly how that will work for you, but yeah, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. But there's just a thing about that. It's like, you know, if you have relationships with people, one example is where, you know, if you keep on ending up in, and I've given this in other readings for other situations, if you keep on ending up in relationships with people that use you, it's not blame. It's not to say that you're to blame for that or you deserve it, but your part in that is sort of contemplating, is there any part of me that gives too much, would be one way of putting it. Do you give too much? And this is just an example, but yeah, that would be your part in it, is that maybe you gave too much, and that's why it's like, if you give, they're gonna take, you know. Again, it's not blame, but it's contemplating your part in that and what you can do to change that. Like, obviously one way to change that would be the next relationship you go into, you know, be more assertive, make your needs known. If people start to take the piss, put them in their place and don't give. But yeah, sounds simple. It's not as simple sometimes. It takes time. Everything's a process. But anyway, so let's move on from that. And then the final message was about Pluto entering Aquarius. So what's your next 20-year chapter? Being in the present, Virgo can be, we've already said Virgo can be a sign, a zodiac sign that analyzes a lot. Are you someone that kind of dwells on the past a lot, like past mistakes, what's already happened? Are you future focused? You know, I mean, definitely acknowledge how far you've come in the present, acknowledge how far you've come, and acknowledge where you are now. Acknowledge where you are now, acknowledge how you feel now, and what you wanna do and what you create now. The power's in the present, and we've got both words here, power being in the present and the self-reflection. So I think I will leave your message there. Thank you for watching, Virgo. Take care. Welcome back, Libra. So we're going to get your full moon message first of all. And as I always say, if you want to use the message to help you set any intentions for the full moon, you're welcome to do that. The full moon in Leo is on the Thursday, the 25th of January in the UK. So what is the full moon message for Libra, sun, moon or rising, please? I like that, realization. Okay. Let's get you a message now for the sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, which we know it's already happened, but as I said, I wanted to let it happen and then pick the energies up after, because I said it was like a catalyst. So it's like what's been triggered if it's a catalyst. So what's the sun? Nope, too quick. You've got community, which I love because there's a lot of Aquarius energy at the minute, but I'm going to try that again because it kind of just fell out of the deck rather than properly came out. So sun conjunct Pluto, and I'm using the Sacred Destiny deck for this because of that reference to the degree of fate. If you watch the intro, you'll know what I'm talking about. What does Libra, sun, moon or rising need to know, that what's been triggered for the sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn? You've got going forward. I like that because it's like it feels like a light bulb moment, isn't it? So, you know, you're trying to figure something out and then you get a light bulb moment. It's like, that's what I've got to do. Now I can do that and I can move on or move forward or whatever. Right, and finally, let's get you a message for the new 20-year chapter of Pluto being in Aquarius. So that's already happened as well. And I'm using the Power of Love deck for this, as I've said for the last few signs that I've just read for. Aquarius energy, so it can be known to be eccentric. There's an element of innovation there and an element of individualism, but also a sense of community too. And the individualism and community is complete opposites, but when there's a eccentricity involved with that, then it makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah, but it just felt like an Aquarian energy. I'm not 100% sure why, but it just felt like it. So for Pluto being in Aquarius, what does Libra, sun, moon or rising need to know for that? Harmony. I absolutely love that because Libra is the sign of harmony, isn't it? Okay. It says you are able to feel a loving, balanced connection with everything. Okay, that's interesting. Let's get you a couple of tarot cards for each of these messages. So for the realization, that's too quick. For the realization card, which is for the full moon, what do we need to know about that for Libra? You've got the Ace of Pentacles. The Fool, that's beautiful energy, that is. I believe the Fool is connected to Aquarius energy. I think it's Aries. Is it Aquarius? I'm getting confused now. I think it can be connected to Aries, Pisces, and Aquarius energy. And then you get the High Priestess, which can be connected to Aries, not Aries, sorry, Pisces as well. So you may have a realization if there's an opportunity, a particular opportunity that you want to pursue in life. You may have a realization about what you need to do there. There's a sense of liberation or freedom with that Fool card as well. I will read the message though. Let's look at that going forward. Could also just be an opportunity in general in life to have a greater sense of freedom. And you might have a realization about that, about what you need to make you feel freer and more liberated. So going forward, and I do have an important to make, important choice. I'm getting confused because I'm looking at the cards and trying to talk. Right. Yeah, I'll tell you about the placements in a minute for the day-to-day astrology, right? So we've got the Magician and the Two of Wands. I mean, that's great, isn't it? I mean, it's like personal power and choice, using your personal power to make a choice, and freedom is part of personal power, isn't it? Let's just get one more for that. Choosing your path, I would say. We've got strength, the Strength card. That is Leo energy, that is will. It can be about courage as well, and the Magician can be to do with confidence, so it might be a courage thing here in terms of going forward. Let's look at the Harmony energy. That was for Pluto entering Aquarius. We've got the 3, that is harmony, isn't it? It's like when things work together harmoniously. Let's see what else comes out. So like it can be situations, people. It can even refer to muddy body, mind and spirit. No, too many. I think I'm starting to get hungry now. I've been trying to record everything all in one, so yeah, I'm getting hungry, I'm not gonna lie. But I want to get this done because it's yeah, still got how many more signs to do now? 7. I'm so bad at maths. 5 more to do. Right, anything else for that harmony message? You have the 7 of Pentacles. Let's just get one more. And the Ace of Swords, okay. Oh, you know what I'm getting from this? One message that I'm getting from this is, if you've been in situations before where things haven't worked, like you just haven't been able to make it work or create that sense of harmony in whatever capacity that is, and you've been the kind of person who's stuck it out. And again, I think I mentioned this in the last reading about pride, or a couple of the readings at least, where you have this sense of pride where it's like, no, I've got to make it work, and it becomes stubbornness, that stubborn side of pride. It's an opportunity now in this new chapter to not be afraid of if things aren't working out, to just instantly sort of face the truth. And it's not to say that you give up on stuff straight away, but if you know something's not working, if you've tried really hard and put all your effort in and it's like, this just is not working, not being afraid to sort of either make the changes that need to be made or let go, cut things out if you have to cut things out, but sort of a greater sense of identifying where there is and is not harmony, I think, is what comes to mind, and taking action based on that. Knowing how to make things work better together, I think, is like a key theme there. Right, so let's talk about the placements. So for Libras collectively, like obviously if you want to check your individual birth chart, there's a link in the description box because things will be a bit different from the collective. But collective Librans, day-to-day astrology, the Sun and Pluto, well, more focusing on the Pluto energies than the Sun. Pluto has gone from your 4th house, Capricorn, but your 4th house, to your 5th house. So the 4th house energy, it's Cancerian, isn't it? It's about feelings, it's about home, it's about roots, your foundation, your sense of security. The 5th house, it's about your will, your willpower. There's also creativity, romance. There's a potential for Librans where hopefully you might be going into a period where you might be having a lot more fun, to be honest, and just a sense of enjoyment. If things have been heavy going, like especially emotionally, if things have been really heavy going, you may be going into a period where things are just a lot more fun. Not to say you won't have difficult times or there won't be any challenges, but it's an opportunity to enjoy things more and to take the lead with that as well. Because one thing I'm looking at with that fourth house, so as I say, the Pluto was in Capricorn in your fourth house. And I can say for myself, as you probably already know, I'm a Libra, I have felt a big sense of pressure in terms of rules and responsibility over the last 15 years. There have been a lot of ups and downs with it in that cycle, but I really did feel the pressure to sort of, even when I wanted to be free and do what I felt was right for me, to stick to the rules. And I can see how that connects to that Capricorn energy of the rules, and then feeling it with the fourth house energy as well. And a sense of honoring, trying to honor the rules, but it's like I didn't really honor myself in a lot of situations, because with part of that roots, the fourth house energy is to do with parents as well, and roots, and sort of honoring that, as well as the Capricorn energy. So you've got the mother and the father. So it's sort of been not having a sense of your own authority to a certain degree. And then obviously with everything going into Aquarius now, you've got the strong-willed energy of Leo, who's very heart-based and courageous. That's one way of putting it, in Aquarius, which is very liberated and free. So you may get a bigger sense of freedom, and whatever you're doing, have more of a sense of will of in terms of your own will of, right, this is what I need in my life to follow my heart and feel that it's right and honorable, and I'm gonna do that, not letting anybody else tell you what to do. Greater sense of harmony. So anyway, let's get into these messages. So realization, let's have a look at that in the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. So this is specifically for the full moon. So it says, with self-awareness comes realization. Knowledge is power. Self-examination of your role within a situation is important. I just talked about this in the Virgo reading. It's almost like the readings, this is happening again. It's happened before, where it's almost like each reading follows on from the last reading. But anyway, it says, I have timely awareness and act upon my realization. So this High Priestess is a sense of self-awareness, isn't it? It says, as we move into the early waxing cycle, light begins to shine upon the shadows, illuminating what is. This is the beginning of a powerful process, realization. When we decide to really examine our lives without fear or favor, it can be hard. This is no doubt, an act of courage. We might not like what we discover after all, yet without self-awareness and the will to act upon those realizations, whether we perceive them as negative or positive, we do not get to change and grow. The realization that we have a pattern, a bad habit, or a behavior that is causing us pain is a powerful position, even though we may feel worry and pain around this discovery. We can then take personal responsibility to change our situation, since we know our current position. Knowing ourselves more completely enables us to accept ourselves more readily and to dare to love exactly who we really are. I love that energy of daring to love who we really are, because you've got the Fool there. That's daring, isn't it? You might say that Leo energy is daring as well, to be honest. It mentions a companion stone here, if you're into crystals of aventurine, and I have green aventurine here, so that may help if you're into crystals, to sort of amplify the energy. So yeah, I've already said you may have a realization that will help you in pursuing, if there's a specific opportunity or just the opportunity to change your life or refer or whatever, there may be a realization around that. But this can also indicate that it is an opportunity to have more of a sense of self-awareness, and to go within more, to tap into your intuition more, so that you have more realizations that help you to move forward and create the balance and harmony that you need in your life. Let's look at that going forward message. So going forward, let's see. So the main message says, when you receive this card, fertility, productivity, love, health, abundance, and fulfillment are ahead of you. Things are growing and expanding in your life. Keep going forward. Sometimes it may be easy to be distracted by what's occurring around you, but this card indicates that it is important to not let anything hold you back from increasing the bounty in your life. Step up and know that your needs will be taken care of. Your life is escalating and intensifying in the best possible way and for your highest good. So that kind of goes back to that energy where I said, I mean, let me know in the comments if you've had that experience, the experience I described of being in that Capricorn, when Pluto was in Capricorn in my fourth house, as a, well, collective Libra in fourth house, feeling the pressure to stick to certain rules and to, you know, people pleasing even as well. And now that there may be the potential to come out of that and be more liberated and use your will to get what you know, what you want. As I said at the beginning, in the intro, it's not about us completely being 100% selfish and all doing whatever the hell we want and not giving a shit about anyone. It's about being our true selves, exploring our own new individual identity and bringing that together within the collective as well to move forward. Let me know if you've experienced that as well. But as I say, so it's going forward. You've got the personal power with the magician. You've got the opportunity to make choices, or you can use your will, because strength, Leo, it's a card of will as well, to make your own choices without being influenced by restrictions or that feeling of what you have to do. The strength card can be a card that's connected to self-restraint as well. And sometimes self-restraint can be good. Like if you're going to do something bad, it would be a good thing to have some degree of self-restraint. But then it can be detrimental to us as well, can't it? Like, you know, if you wanted to go for something that you really desire, that like it's not going to cause any harm to something, but to anyone, but you want to go for something you really desire and you use your self-restraint to hold you back from what you really want, because it's like, oh no, well, I have to honor this person and that person and those rules and that and that, and it's like, well, why are you not allowed to have that sense of freedom and use your will for your own good as well as the good of other people as well? So that's that message. And then the harmony message at the end, so that was what's been triggered, is using your will to move you forward. And then the harmony message for Pluto being in Aquarius, as I say, it's having a greater sense of what is and isn't working and what you can do. That is realization as well, and awareness of what works for you. You know, again, if you were stuck in situations before, it's like, oh well, I'm in it now, I've got to commit to it, I've got to make it work. It's like having a greater sense of awareness. Like sometimes we can even get into situations where we know we don't even want it in the first place. I mean, I'm sure many people have applied for jobs that they never wanted in the first place. Sometimes it can be that you're like, oh, it's just temporary because I need to do something for now until I find something that I really want. And then if you have a strong sense of responsibility, you can get trapped in it, can't you? Because you feel like, oh God, well, I've got to stick with it now because I've started it, so I've just got to finish it, and I can't even be bothered to look for any other options. Or if you've ever gotten into a relationship where you kind of didn't really want to, but you felt like you'd have to give it a chance. There's a number of different situations that can come about with. But as I say, with the harmony card and overall sense, now it's an opportunity to really think about what you wanna bring together, and not settling. Focusing on the harmony that you can create in a situation, rather than just, I've just got to make it work. So I'll leave your message there, Libra. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. So welcome back, Scorpio. We're going to get your full moon message first. I just want to say, before we start, I don't know, just got a message coming through as I was prepping the cards for your reading. I don't know if, so the transits that have happened, so Capricorn, when Pluto was in Capricorn, that would have been in your third house. That's Gemini energy. That's about thinking, communication, those sorts of things. It's now, everything's now moved. Pluto's now moved into, it's in Aquarius, obviously. It's moved into your fourth house, which is more about feeling. And I've just got this inkling that for some of you Scorpios in the, when Pluto was in Capricorn, obviously it's moved now, you may have been through a period in your life where you were very practical. Like you might have thought every thought process you had, it's like a strong element of practicality to it, and to the point even of control, where and what that could have done. I mean, obviously that can be it can be helpful to a certain degree. But on the darker side of that, if you found that difficult, the difficulties within that is that sometimes when you try to be too practical and try to have control in situations and try to stay in control, it can send you over the edge to the point where you actually lose control, because you just, you know, like, this is a weird example to give, but you know, like if you were an alcoholic, say if you were previously an alcoholic, and you, what, not in remission, recovery, you were in recovery and you were being really hardcore strict with yourself and just really too focused, like all your mind was on was, I've got to stay sober, I've got to stay sober, I've got to stay sober, to the point where you just drive yourself nuts, and then you end up either drinking again or taking on another addiction, because it's like you've put yourself under so much pressure to be in control and to be practical. It's just pushed you over the edge. I don't know why that's come to mind, but I'm thinking that. So if that makes sense to anyone or anyone resonates, feel free to leave a comment. But that thought came to mind, and it, not just like situations like that, but it could be anything where you've just really tried really hard to be practical and stick to the rules, and just, I don't know why that's come to mind. And then I would say now that the Pluto's moved out of Capricorn, as I said, it's a process. It's not just you flip a switch and then suddenly, right, you've gone from that to something else. I think the process now for you with Pluto being in Aquarius, it's in your 4th house, is kind of being more aware and acknowledging how you feel more, and kind of using that energy to liberate you, is what I'm getting here. You may be, I mean, the 4th house can be connected to your roots as well, like family, parents, mother in particular, that sort of thing, your sense of inner security. But you might be kind of, there may be a transformation with that in getting a better sense of liberation. That's what comes to mind. So yeah, so that's a initial message for you that just strongly came in when I was shuffling. But let's get your full moon message first of all. So the full moon, feel free to use these messages to help you with intentions, if you want to set intentions for the full moon. It's in Leo on Thursday the 25th of January in the UK. You have acceptance, and I said it for, this come up quite a few times. I think it's come up at least maybe twice, could have been once, but it feels like it's come up more than that in one way or another. Even if it wasn't the exact card, it's something similar. Accepting the things you cannot change and changing what you can't accept. There's a thing around that. And when I say change what you can't accept, it's that because you've accepted what you cannot change, you have to do things differently, can't you? And I feel like I've given this example so many times in these readings. Like, say, for example, okay, I'll change it up a little bit now. Let's say if you're in a relationship with someone, I'll change the example because I've used the other one so many times. And say you've been with someone for 10 years and things have just been shitty for a very long time. There's just incompatibility, it's just not working, there's arguments all the time, and it's just like, you know, it's just not going to work. Like, you've tried everything to make it work. You've tried to compromise, you've tried to talk, have heart to heart, you've tried to make practical changes, and none of it's working. It just isn't working, and you can see it just won't change. You're who you are, the other person is who they are. It's not saying one of you is necessarily right or necessarily wrong, but it just isn't working. And you get to the point where you accept it's not going to work. We're going to have to accept that it's not going to work. We can't fix it. We're just going to have to separate. Or if you're in a situation, maybe one person's being really stubborn, or both of you are being stubborn, and you accept that you're both going to have to change something, and then you change it. But either way, there's that acceptance, isn't there? Yeah, so that's your full moon message. That's not your whole full moon message, but that's the full moon message, and I'll get some tarot to go with that. Let's get you a message for the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, which I said it was like a catalyst. So it's like that conjunction, it's referred to as the degree of fate, because it happened in the last degree of Capricorn. See what it's triggered for you. So what has that triggered for? I forgot to say it's for Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising. And feel free as well. And I've got the Libra card here, so let me just change that to avoid confusing anyone. I think because those messages were coming in so strongly for you, Scorpio, I kind of forgot what was going on around me. The messages are for Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising. And I wanted to say as well, if you want to check your individual birth chart to see where the transits are happening there, because it will be different from like the day-to-day astrology. You know, what I said about the third and fourth house, it will be different in your individual birth chart. But for day-to-day astrology, it's, you know, Aquarius is now in your 4th house. So, yep, Sacred Destiny deck for the degree of fate, the conjunction with Pluto and Capricorn. What do we need to know? Okay, we'll take those two. Wow, I love that. You've got courage and going forward. That's beautiful. I'm going to read the courage message. I feel like the courage one is important. You may have really had a very stuck phase, and not necessarily the whole phase, because there can be, within these cycles, you can even call it a karmic cycle. It was a 15-year cycle with Pluto in Capricorn. You can have ups, downs, plateaus, good times, bad times, whatever. But I don't know if recently in particular, you've really felt very, very stuck. That might be really relevant for some Scorpios out there. And as I say, it's a process, isn't it? Even though the planets have changed and everything, and you may have an awareness of what needs to change, it's still a process. It's not just going to happen overnight. So what do you need to know for Pluto being in Aquarius now? This is the Power of Love deck. Right, yep. I mean, yeah. Funnily enough, detachment can be an Aquarian energy, because obviously with Aquarius, you have the side that's community oriented and wants whatever's best for the greater good, but you have the individualistic side. And obviously with individualism, it can be, you can have the side of it where it's like just acknowledging who you are as an individual and how you fit into the collective. But then you've got the side where it's like completely just cut off, aren't you? Where you want to cut yourself off because you feel like you can't be yourself. So there's two sides to it. But detachment can be an Aquarian energy. It says you are releasing old patterns and ideas that no longer serve your highest ideals of love. So yeah, you really could have had a stuck energy. You've got empathy. You feel and understand the emotions of another in the service of love. So I would say empathy for yourself first, and then you can give that to others too. Not really sure how to put that. I guess I'll put it like that so you can actually see the cards. So let's get you a couple of tarot cards to go with each. And that acceptance and detachment could very well be connected to each other. And then from that would follow the courage to go forward. So what do we need to know for the acceptance message? No, that was far too quick. Let's see what it is. It's the Seven of Swords. That's a risk as well, taking a... And one thing I love about that, so for me with the Seven of Swords, sometimes I say it's where people are lying to themselves. They're not honouring themselves. Well, anyway, acceptance. Is there any part of your life or something that you're trying to do or something about yourself where you're lying to yourself? Like, say if there's a certain change that's needed, are you being honest about, if you're not changing it, are you being honest with yourself about why you're not changing it? Are you kind of in denial, should I say, is the best way to put it? Is there any denial? Because denial is the opposite of acceptance, isn't it? It's in reverse. It might as well have just kept the Seven of Swords with that. That is a denial energy, isn't it? Possibly. Let's get... Okay, we'll take that. Ace of Wands and... Yeah, in fact, I'm not even going to get anything else. For things to change, for a new chapter, there needs to be... there can't be any more denial. There's got to be acceptance of the truth of what's going on, or what changes are needed, or what needs to be done. Actually, I will get one more, but I kind of feel like it's not necessary. Well, partly acknowledging your feelings, that comes with that empathy energy as well. The Page of Cups, it's acknowledging how you really feel, what's really going on. Let's have a look at courage and going forward for you. Well, right, we've got the Six of Swords. You may feel like you need support, or you haven't had the support you need to move on. That is a card of going forward and moving on, isn't it? We've got the Five of Pentacles here. That's disappointment, it's rejection, possibly sometimes in the Page of Swords. You may need more information to move forward, but it can also be a card of where you feel like you don't know enough to move forward as well. Lack. Five of Pentacles can be a sense of lack too. For some, there could be financial concerns here. If you're trying to move forward with something or away from something, there can be financial concerns, but there's a need for courage in whatever your situation is. If there's information that you need, see if you can gather the information that you need. Let's get a couple for the detachment and empathy cards. And as I've said, I don't know if I've already said the example here, I've talked so much today about pride getting in your way. I think I've already mentioned that pride can be stubbornness of making something work, or avoiding change, denial as well. Those all can play a role in pride. So I've got the Seven of Wands, the Four of Wands. Shall I get one more for that? I feel like this is protecting your sense of security with the Seven of Wands and the Four of Wands, standing up for what really makes you feel secure. And yeah, with the fourth house, because the fourth house is involved here, the fourth house is about your sense of security, so, and emotional insecurity in particular. Any old patterns or ideas or whatever that's had a negative impact on your sense of emotional security, it's time to detach from that and let that go. Let's just get one more for that. You may have been too harsh on yourself, possibly. Four of Swords can be a card of detachment as well, to be honest, but it's also, it's rest, it's recovery, it's rejuvenation. So let's look at let me read the acceptance message for you, and I'll just read the... So accept, oh God, you got the fours again. There's quite a few references to that fourth house energy. So you might want to see, if you want to look at your own birth chart and see what's going on with the fourth house for you. Obviously, I said for day-to-day astrology, it's going to be different from your birth chart. But just if you want to have a look at your birth chart, see specifically what's going on in the fourth house there. Right, so it says acceptance of the current situation is the first step to change. The past does not exist. The future hasn't happened. There is only right now. I accept where I am and who I am right now. When we examine our lives and engage in some truth-telling, that's that Knight of Swords, we are often confronted with what really is. This realization is powerful, but often we reject this truth if it is too hard to bear or we are afraid of accepting something so difficult. Each of us at some time has dodged our blind spots and then had the illumination of what actually is eventually confront us. What we do next is crucial. Do we accept exactly where we are, no matter how painful or confronting, or do we retreat back into our illusions and remain stuck or unchanging? Choosing to accept ourselves fully in the position we are in enables us to take that next step towards growth. When we can plant our feet solidly into the earth and say, yes, here is exactly where I am and I accept this fully, then we can take the next steps confidently, honestly and powerfully towards where we wish to head. Accepting where we are right now in its fullness allows us to also accept that there may be some chaos in our change before there is full order again. This can be an exciting feeling rather than one that generates fear if we hold our new intentions clearly. That's probably where courage is needed. If it's not a smooth transition, you're going to need courage, aren't you? You need courage to do it and then courage to deal with the chaos that can come from it. So it references a companion stone here. If you're into crystals, you might want to use lepidolite to kind of amplify the energies. But I don't think I need to say anything else about that. It kind of just said what I already said here. Let's briefly look at that courage message for you. So the courage message says, the main part of it says, step forward, throw your shoulders back and stand up for yourself with passion. And this can be well, I said it, didn't I? Standing up for your security, protecting your security. Speak up for those less fortunate, be impeccable in all your actions. This isn't the time to be timid and pull back. Don't be limited by the beliefs of others. Use your passion to make a difference. Courage doesn't mean that you aren't afraid. Fearless means fear less. Acknowledge your fear and take action anyway. Make a stand. You are strong and powerful and have great valor within you. I pretty much already said what I needed to say with that. So I think I said in terms of moving on, there may be a sense of lack. You may have felt like you don't know enough, so gather the information if you need to or if you can, or it may just be, unfortunately, a case of having to face the unknown for some of you. Yeah, just standing up for your sense of security. I don't think there's anything else I can add to that. So I will leave your message there, Scorpio. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Welcome back, Sagittarius. We're going to start off with your full moon in Leo message. So as I said, the full moon is on Thursday, the 25th of January in the UK. The messages are for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Rising. So let's see what you get. Message for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Rising for the full moon in Leo. We have sovereignty. I love this card. Sovereignty. Okay. If you feel free to check out, if you don't already know your birth chart, there's a link in the description box for a site where you can get your individual birth chart if you don't already know and you want to find out. because you might want to check out where all the placements have been going on. So next we're going to get you a message for that conjunction between the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn. It's already happened, obviously, but as I said, I feel like it's a catalyst or a trigger. So let's see what's been triggered for you. Using the Sacred Destiny Oracle deck for this because of that reference to the degree of fate. If you watch the intro, you'll know what I'm speaking of. Right, that is a lot. I don't think I'm going to take all of those. Right, you've got illumination, success and love, but I'm not going to take all of those because that's, it's a lot. What does Sagittarius need to know relating to that conjunction between the Sun and Pluto? You have diligence and release. That's interesting. There's a lot of energies here of, and I think I mentioned it in the intro anyway, of letting, I mean, it is partly full moon connected as well, because full moon is about release, but of letting go. And I already said it in terms of like the transformation from going from Capricorn into Aquarius energy, of letting go of anything that's been restrictive. Let's get you a final message, which is specifically relating to Pluto entering Aquarius. So for Pluto entering Aquarius, what does Sagittarius Sun, Moon or Rising need to know for that, please? Right, you've just got one. You've got individuality, that's Aquarius energy. You leave your unique stamp of love on everything you do, yeah? So I was thinking, wow, okay, yeah. I was thinking here, with the sovereignty card and then that diligence release, it's almost like if you've had situations or interactions with people where you felt held back, it's a time of coming into your own sense of sovereignty. And then individuality shows up as well. And I know I said at the beginning that it's like, as much as we are exploring our own individual identity and individuality, it's integrating that within the collective as well. So it's not all absolute 100% being self-absorbed and all that business. It's knowing who you are and what your truth is and that. But, you know, having the compassion to bring that into the collective and to kind of work together as well. But yours is really strongly on the self. The houses it's happening for you in day-to-day astrology. So your birth chart will be a bit different. It will be in different houses in your birth chart. But for day-to-day astrology, collectively for Sagittarians, it's happening. So Pluto was in Capricorn in your second house. So that's Gemini energy. Sorry, not Gemini energy, Taurus energy. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm tired now. I've done loads of readings in one go. So it does weigh you down a bit. So that it can often be about like possessions and material stuff. But the thing that came to mind for me with this when I was shuffling was more so to do with values. So there may be something during the Capricorn phase with Pluto and Capricorn where your values may have changed. There's something where your values may have transformed. I don't know if they were too rigid, not rigid enough, or they've become more rigid or whatever, but there was a change for you, likely with your values, possibly. And then with it going, with Pluto now being in Aquarius, it's in your third house. The third house, it's Gemini energy, isn't it? So it's communication, it's thinking, it's learning as well. There might be something for you now. This next phase, this next 20-year chapter may be something where your communication changes and your thought processes change. And there might be there might be something that's more open and more liberated about that in the way you think. I can see the candle's going to go. Yeah, it's gone. It's going, isn't it? But yeah, that was something that came to mind. Let's get you some tarot cards. Shall I do the candle? Okay, I'll do the tarot cards first, and then I assume the candle will have gone out by then, and I'll quickly pause to relight. So with the candle going out, or about to go out, that means I've been talking for 3 hours. So that's why my brain is starting to dry up a little bit now. But so let's look at the sovereignty message. And as I've said to every sign so far, in terms of pride, and I think I said it in the intro too, one of the ways that pride can kick in is where you're kind of stuck on doing things a certain way. Yeah, it's not just being flashy and over the top. It's sometimes where you just, you know, like if you're in situations where you feel like, oh, I've got to make it work. I've got to stick with it. I've got to make it work. That can be pride too, like fear of failure, isn't it? But anyway, let's look at sovereignty. Do I want to take that? I will take that. Two of Swords. The first thing that comes to mind with this is two minds with that Two of Swords. Okay, let me get one more and then I'll relight the candle. Being in two minds. And as I said, we're now in Pluto is now in your third house. And it's to do with twins as well, isn't it? Gemini energy in the third house. So we've got the Death card. We've got the Ten of Cups. Right, I'm just going to pause briefly. Right, so yeah. Where are we? We're gonna move on to these messages now. So I'll come back to this. So the message for the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto, the diligence release cards. What do we need to know with that? You've got the Page of Cups, and God, if I can reach this now because it is in a weird position. We've got the Chariot. See, that Page of Cups makes me think more of the vulnerability. And yeah. That might be where the openness comes in. Because openness, there is an element of vulnerability in openness if you can communicate in a different way. Let's get one more for that, for the diligence and release cards. The Emperor, that's openness, isn't it? There's compassion, there's vulnerability there as well. If you are someone who has had some rigid views on certain things in whatever capacity, that could be absolutely anything at all. It could be rigidity in the way that you think how people's work life should be, how family structure should be, how you speak to people, how you interact with people. It could be anything that you might have had certain views on, and I don't even know if we're going to call them rigid, but just you might have had very specific views. That might be changing. There might be more of an emotional side that comes here where you not to say that you weren't compassionate before, but there just might be a thing about being more compassionate towards yourself and others as well. Comes to mind, like diligence. Diligence there can be an element of rigidness with diligence. I mean, if you think in a job, it's not a bad thing to be diligent in work, is it? Because you want to get things right, but that can be a problem, kind of. If you're absolutely obsessed with it has to be the right way, it has to be done right, it can become a problem because then there's just no room for anything else, is there, if you're overly diligent? So I think that's where I'm going with that. And then the Chariot can be heart and mind. It's bringing heart and mind together to move forward. And as I say, it's not about not that you didn't have a heart or compassion or anything before, but maybe in certain situations there was some sort of diligence there where it's like, no, well, it has to be this way. This is the right way to do it. And you might be letting go of that now. It could be that you followed the rules a lot about certain things. In certain situations, there's just certain moral rules or whatever, or cultural rules that you're like, no, we have to do it this way. This is how it's done. And you come into a period now where there's more of a sense of, well, how do I actually really feel about that? Do I really agree with that? Or it's where you have some sort of experience with someone where you see a different perspective. That is what's coming to mind here. Let's get something for that individuality card as well. We've got the Sun. I like that because that is Leo energy and it's about shining your light, isn't it? Shining your light. You've got the Two of Swords. The Sun can be a card of illumination as well. So you got the Seven of Swords and the Page of Swords. Ooh, so there might be something that shines a light. There might be something with your identity here, and it's a weird thing to come up. Well, not so much your identity, but something about you that gets illuminated, and you kind of feel you get a new truth where you sort of feel like there's something that you need to move on from, I would say. You might discover the truth about a part of yourself, about who you really are in terms of your individuality, and there might be a kind of progression or moving on or rites of passage, even with that Six of Swords. Some of you might be experiencing a Saturn return this year. I mean, I would say definitely some of you are going to be experiencing a Saturn return in the 20-year chapter with Pluto being in Aquarius, because, you know, the Saturn returns. The first one is at age 30, then I think it happens when you're 60, then, is that right? Yeah. 30, 60. If you live to 90, I think it happens when you're 90 as well. But yeah, you might be experiencing a Saturn return this year. Definitely within the 20-year chapter, somebody will be experiencing it, because 20 years is a long time. But maybe this year that might be happening, or you could be going through that now, to be honest. Let's get into the messages. So let's look at the sovereignty message first of all for you. So that's for the full moon. You might want to use that to set intentions. So 41, it says, you have sovereignty over your own life. Act with grace and confidence. You have the ability to unite disparate people and views should you choose to do so. The buck stops with you. You are powerful. Act like it. I reign over my own realm. Goddesses of the moon are one of the oldest kinds of feminine divine and feature in mythologies from almost every corner of the globe, from Diana of ancient Rome and the Greek Artemis to the Semitic Astarte and Hina from Polynesia. The link with the feminine divine and the lunar planet and cycles is a strong one. These goddesses in all their myriad of forms were extremely powerful and demonstrated to women that they naturally had power as well. We should strive to be the powerful queens of our domains. Women especially have been socialized to defer, to keep small, to be quiet, and to hold a very twisted kind of service that borders on servitude. That might be very relevant in terms of the diligence and stuff. Like, one view someone might have had is very specific views about what women can do, what men can do. You know, it doesn't have to be all about women. It could be about what men should do, what people from certain cultures should do, what people of certain ages should do. You know, there could be all sorts of rules there about people's capabilities and what they should and shouldn't be allowed to do. Anyway, it says, while in many first world countries women can choose to be what they wish to be on paper, women still experience inequality in most countries in areas such as wage disparity and an imbalance of the numbers of women in government or in high-level board positions. However, what has been accepted in the past is not what will be accepted in the future. A new queendom is coming. When we reign over our lives, it is us that take on the responsibility for our own change and decisions. The Moon Queen knows that we, just under the divine, are our own rulers, and as such, the buck stops here. Therefore, it is worth us investing in growing our own self-awareness, our own self-trust, self-care, and self-esteem in real and practical ways. We must, as any queen would, set firm boundaries to protect our queendom and those who are under our protection. This does not mean we become cruel rulers. We should always aim for benevolence, fairness, and a great love for all as well as ourselves. It does mean we may have to push against those who do not respect our line in the sand. So one thing that was coming up for this message in terms of sovereignty is matriarchy. Your relationship with matriarchy might come into play here, whether you are a man or a woman. So when I say that, I mean, and feel free if you need to sort of check the definition. I'm someone that even if I know what something means, I'll still check the definition just to be sure. It's women, like in elephants, I absolutely adore elephants, but there's matriarchs in elephant, you know what, is it a herd? I think it's a herd. I'm not even sure. I should know this since I love elephants so much. But they're the leaders, aren't they? They're the elders that lead, but they lead by example. They are the elders. And there's something there where maybe you're coming into a period of matriarchy, because it talks about bringing disparate, uniting disparate people. Maybe there's a particular matriarch in your life, so mother, grandmother, or whatever. There's something with your relationship there. But it does kind of go back to what I said in the intro about bringing that individuality into the collective. It's like you have sovereignty over yourself, and then how can you use that power with others too? But let's have a look at these. So you got the Two of Swords, the Death card, and the Ten of Cups. I mean, that's, you could say the Two of Swords is disparate thoughts. It's two truths, isn't it? Are you someone who's kind of, you've got like two identities almost, where you've got the side of you that kind of wants to be freed and be who you are as an individual, but then you've got the other side of you who's trying to stick to certain rules, because I've talked about rules a lot. Maybe there doesn't, you've avoided, you've kind of avoided that because it's like, oh, well, again, that diligence of, oh, it's just got to be done that way, and kind of rejected or put your own individuality on the back burner because of whatever reason. You could have any reason for needing to have that sense of diligence or practicality. It could be that you literally feel you can't survive if you try to go more to the individuality side of yourself than the side that needs to just sort of fit in with society or whatever, or be a certain way to survive. But it's like now's a time where you really have to kind of pay more attention to that, to the individual within, to the identity within, to who you really are and your own sovereignty. Because as I say, it looks like with those two truths, if you've had like been in two minds or had two sides of yourself, there may be a part of you or some part of your life that it's not quite what you want, or you're not kind of getting the happiness that you want in a certain situation. And it can be different things, kind of. It could be like, for some, maybe your work life is fine, but in your family life, you'd kind of not being yourself, or it could be vice versa. You know, it can go different ways. Let's look at that diligence card and see what that brings up. So diligence, it says, there are times in life to step forward and take risks, but there are other times to be patient, step carefully and slowly, and know that the benefits you will gain in the future will be worth it. Be attentive, meticulous, and persistent. Use this time to plan for action steps in the future. Be diligent and consistent at each step as you move forward. By doing so, you will harvest remarkable results in the years ahead. This is not the time for instant gratification. Your diligence will pay off in the future tenfold. This is the time for deliberate organization. Clean house, clear clutter out of your life. Be thoughtful about how you spend your time and be discerning when choosing with whom you spend it. Clear out relationships that do not support you. So I will say I agree with the diligence in the part about clearing the clutter out, whatever the clutter is for you in your life. However, I still feel like there's a need to be aware of excessive diligence in being too meticulous and just being rigid, you know, the rigid side of diligence. There's a need to be careful of that. And I'm just repeating what I said before. So needing to take into account vulnerability, compassion, and bring the heart and mind together to make your decisions and to be who you are. And then again, going back to the individuality message, it's just the same as what I said before. It's like shining a light on who you really are. Is there any denial there? What are you not admitting about yourself, if there's any sense of denial there? Or what do you need to know more about yourself to be who you really are? So I think I'll leave your message there. Hopefully that made sense for you. Thank you for watching and take care. So welcome back, Capricorn. We're firstly going to get your message for the full moon in Leo on the 25th of January in the UK. So what does Capricorn need to know for the full moon? You may want to use this message to help you set intentions. And they're usually around release, things to do with release during the full moon. But let's see what you get. What does Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Rising need to know for the full moon in Leo? Attraction. Okay. You've got attraction. So I will say, with the Pluto transits, I wouldn't be surprised if the Death card comes out in this reading, Capricorn. And to be frank, I imagine, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know that you may be feeling these energies big time. The movements of Pluto, because it's left your sign, isn't it? So it's almost like a spiritual death of some sort. So yeah, as I say, if death shows up, it wouldn't surprise me. It will surprise me if it doesn't show up. So let's get you a message for the Sun conjunct Pluto in your sign at the last degree. It's like referred to as the degree of fate, so that's why I'm using the Sacred Destiny cards. And as I said, for me, the conjunction, it felt like a catalyst, like a trigger. So let's see what's potentially been triggered for you, Capricorn. So stand still. That's funny. After I said it felt like a spiritual or metaphorical death, and you get stand still. I suppose for you, if it's just ended, as I said, it's a process. Even though the signs have changed and everything, for me, I still said it's a process, like pressing the button on a machine where now there's going to be a long process. So it's still a transition phase. You may be taking stock now. Now that the change has happened and the planets have moved, it might be a time for you where you're kind of taking stock of what you've learned from the previous cycle, the 15-year cycle of Pluto being in your sign. Let's see what your message is for Pluto going into Aquarius. What does Capricorn Sun, Moon or Rising need to know for Pluto going into Aquarius? What does Capricorn Sun, Moon or Rising need to know? Empathy, I like that. So, right, so Capricorn, in terms of date, I mean, first of all, you may want to check your individual birth chart if you feel like it. If you don't already know, it's in the there's a link in the description box for how to get your chart up, and obviously the how the signs are slightly different in your individual chart from like the collective day-to-day astrology. So, as a collective Capricorn, when I'm getting confused now, when Pluto was in your sign, it was in your first house. That's Aries energy. That's to do with yourself, the self, isn't it? The I am. So self-image, your ambitions, who you are, that sort of thing you drive. So you may have just gone through a period of massive transformation with who you are, and what drives you. To be honest, you may have gone through that, or you kind of wrapping that up, I would say, at this point in time, coming out of that. So now with Pluto in Aquarius, it's in your second house, and it's the I have type of energy. The second house is about it's values, material possessions, but it's values as well. It's values, like your value systems. So with it, when Pluto was in Capricorn, in terms of the self, you could potentially have had certain rules around who you are and how you're supposed to be, and what drives you. I would say now with the shift, in terms of your values may change. Your values may become kind of more liberated, to be honest, and that will impact your material world as well, your physical world and your physical reality too. But let's get some clarifiers for these messages. You may have, I mean, you've got the attraction card there, which is kind of a bit of a manifestation energy. You may have changed what you actually want to attract, or what you feel or think about what you want to attract, to be honest. But let's see what comes up. Let's see what comes up for you. So attraction for Capricorn, that's your full moon message, first of all. What does Capricorn need to know about the attraction message? You've got the King of Cups, Five of Wands. Yeah, you may have changed what you actually want. There may be something where you felt previously like getting what you want was a real struggle as well, to be honest. So for some of you, you may have it may have felt like a struggle. For some of you, you may have even like kind of kept what you really, really wanted to yourself, with that King of Cups being there. Okay, let's have a look at the standstill card. So you've got the Eight of Swords, Five of Swords. I'm getting a strong what now energy, to be honest. I mean, you've got two cards of being at a standstill. With the Eight of Swords, that's stuck in mental. It's usually it's a bit problematic, the Eight of Swords, because it's thoughts that keep you stuck. You've got the Seven of Pentacles, contemplating, is it worth it? You've got the Five of Swords there. I would say that's an energy of where you wouldn't want to be rejected or defeated. So again, as I said, there's an energy here of, with the standstill card, it's kind of like taking stock, but it's almost like I don't know if it's like being concerned or worried about making a move on what your next step will be in whatever your situation is, or you're just not sure what the best step is to take next. So you're at a standstill, you're taking stock of everything that's happened, and it's like, okay, what now? What now? Let's look at the empathy card. That is for Pluto going into Aquarius. I mean, I always say with the empathy card, so it says you feel and understand the emotions of another in the service of love. So empathy for yourself first and foremost, and then you can give it to other people as well. But let's see what comes up for you. You've got the Ace of Pentacles. I'm going to take them all, to be honest. You've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Emperor. That's interesting. It might be a bit of a heads up that whatever opportunities you pursue in life, it is an opportunity to approach it from a more empathetic, again, empathetic with yourself first and with others too, to take a more empathetic approach in things, because there's quite a practical energy here. With the Knight of Pentacles and Emperor in the last reading, all the readings are really connected. There was an energy of diligence there. Okay, I'll come back to that in a bit. Let's have a look at that attraction message first of all. And I will say, so I said second house energy, as much as it's about possessions and stuff, it's Taurus energy, isn't it? And Taurus is connected to Venus, which is about pleasure. So you may be going into a phase now that whatever you attract, you want it to be more pleasurable and enjoyable as well. But more balanced give and take with the Six of Pentacles. Let's see what comes up for you. So it says you can be magnetic to others and attract the good things in life. You can repel what you no longer wish to attract. Be ready for opportunity. Avoid extremes that might cause negative imbalance in your body or mind. Think of connections greater than yourself. I can attract what I wish and repel what I do not. A supermoon is a full moon that is the closest distance from the Earth in its revolutions. It is also referred to as a perigee moon. The supermoon looks huge in the sky, and being so close to the Earth, it influences the oceans more than usual, causing more extreme tides than are normal. These changes in gravity and force are certainly noticeable, and for most people who follow the cycles of the moon and do magical workings aligned with them, it is the energy of supermoons that is most important. If a normal full moon gives us an opportunity to have rocket power under our intentions, a supermoon greatly magnifies this energy into a supernova. If we are growing, we all want to attract experiences into our lives. This can be positive relationships, a lifestyle that suits us better, clarity, love, prosperity, creativity, the list goes on. Equally, we also perhaps wish to be able to repel the experiences we don't want. It is important, then, to not just know what we want, but to be able to recognize what we don't. Attraction isn't just about what we accept, but also how we discern. Blindly attracting everything we think of into our lives rarely makes us happy, but being focused about it does. This card also suggests that we think globally and for the whole. If you are making intentions on the supermoon, include one for the planet. That is the Aquarius community side of Aquarius, making intentions for the planet, the greater good, isn't it? And that's part of the Six of Pentacles as well. Yeah, I would say with this energy of the attraction, really think about what you really, really, really want to attract. As I said, there may have been massive changes around who you are and who you think you should be, but who do you really want to be? And in being that person, the person that you really want to be, what does that attract? That's the thought that's come into mind. I think one way I can put it is, there are certain times in your life when you're happier with yourself than others. Like one example I can give is in my life, like in certain situations, I've been happiest with myself when I've really been myself, when I've really felt like I'm being myself, like I'm not wearing any kind of mask. The times when I've worn a mask, I've not been, I just haven't liked myself. Literally, I haven't, not to say I haven't loved myself, I've loved myself, but I haven't liked myself. But the times when I've really been myself, that's when I've really been happiest with myself and felt the most at peace. Let's look at that standstill message. But yeah, for the full moon, consider what you really, really, really want to attract. And yes, it can involve other people too and giving to others. But like, what do you get back as well? Is it equal? So standstill. It says, it feels that some areas of your life have slowed down or even come to a standstill. You are right, something is not progressing. Even if it seems that things are flowing, look beneath the surface. Perhaps something is immovable. The first step to becoming unstuck is to acknowledge where you are. The soul loves the truth. In life, you can either say there are no weeds, or you can notice the weeds and begin pulling them out. Notice what isn't working in your life and then take slow, steady steps to unblock the barriers. In nature, when one is being sucked into mud, the worst thing to do is struggle. The best thing to do is slowly and carefully, one step at a time, extricate yourself. So that does make sense. And that was for the conjunction. So what it's triggered is kind of, for you, I guess, acknowledging what isn't working. You know what, I can't even remember what I said originally for this. I did say that there was a sense of taking stock. You may be taking stock about what's not working, to be honest. So yeah, and I said there was an element of needing to of figuring out, of thinking, well, what next? So like, even if you have identified what's not working, it's like, well, what next? What do I do now? How do I extricate myself or change things? Right, and then finally for the empathy message, as I said, you feel and understand the emotions of another in the service of love. As I say, empathy for yourself first. With this kind of energy, that, as I said, the attraction, it's attracting what you really want. The standstill energy is what is trying to extricate yourself. Really empathize with yourself. I don't know why that feels like such a strong need. If you want things to change, really empathize with yourself. And for me, the Emperor here, it's probably more so about regaining that sense of sovereignty in your life, because the Knight of Pentacles, I mean, I think I mentioned diligence, but it can be a sense of being too dutiful to the point of servitude as well, sometimes with that Knight of Pentacles. So it's an opportunity for you to be more empathetic to yourself and stand in your sovereignty. But it's also an opportunity for you to choose to reassess what you want to commit to, what you really want to attract, what's not working, and commit to what you do want to work to completely change things and be fully in your power in your own life. So I'll leave your message there. Hopefully that made sense. Thank you very much for watching, Capricorn. Take care. So welcome back, Aquarius. I am absolutely intrigued to see what messages you get, because obviously everything is happening in your sign, isn't it? And I'm sure you must have felt it. Feel free to leave me a comment to let me know how you've gotten with the energies. I can only imagine how intense it must be for you. And even the full moon as well, because Leo is like your opposite sign in the zodiac as well. So we're going to get your full moon message first of all. What does Aquarius need to know? You may want to set intentions with this for the full moon. So these messages are for Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Rising, just to let you know. So what does Aquarius need to know for the full moon in Leo? You've got two. You've got trust, and I'm only going to be reading one of them, by the way. You also have acceptance. Right, I've read acceptance about 50 times today. I'm exaggerating, by the way. But yeah, I've read it so many times. I will read the trust. And I feel like they're very similar in this particular reading. The acceptance energy and the trust energy are very similar, very connected. Let's get you your message for the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto, which has already happened, I know. But as I said, I wanted to let it happen and then see how it feels after. So as I said, I felt like it was a catalyst, so like a trigger. So let's see what's been triggered. I'm using the Sacred Destiny deck for you. I think it's because of that whole reference to the degree of fate with it, the conjunction happening in the last degree of Capricorn. So let's see. What does Aquarius need to know for the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto? Courage, I love it. And it really, for me, all of the messages have been connected within each message in itself, in each reading, and following on from previous messages as well, to be honest. But yeah, the trust, acceptance, courage go together to me. I mean, it's all happening in Aquarius, so why wouldn't it all be connected? I mean, I know that conjunction was in Capricorn, but still connected. So finally, let's get your message for Pluto entering your sign for the next 20 years, 20-year chapter. What does Aquarius need to know for that? Again, Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Rising. And feel free, okay, humility. It says you have developed the loving awareness that you and everyone else are the same but on different paths. That comes in with the acceptance, actually. I like that. What was I going to say? Yeah, if you don't already know your birth chart, your unique birth chart, and you want to check it out, there's a link in the description box for that. So I think, first of all, I will just say for Aquarians, it will be different in your individual birth chart where the planets fall in the houses. But for like day-to-day astrology as a collective Aquarius, the conjunction happened, it was in Capricorn, as I said, between Pluto and the Sun. It happened in your 12th house. And 12th house, it's Pisces energy, isn't it? So it's belief, spirituality. You may have had a massive you may have had a massive spiritual transformation, like in terms of transcendence and your beliefs and the inner self and those kind of things. You may have gone through that, and as I say, it's still a process. There's still a transition period. I don't feel like it's you've switched a flip and the planet's moved and then it's done with that. I think there is still, it's, you know, like with moon cycles, there's a what do you call it, a shadow period. It feels like there's a shadow period, and obviously because we're going with Pluto, it takes forever, not forever, a decade or two to move through a sign. The shadow period could last quite a long time, to be honest. But yeah, so I feel like you've probably gone through a massive transformation in terms of your beliefs, possibly, and stuff relating to spirituality. But now, with Pluto in your sign, it's going to be in the first house. So you may now go through a massive transformation of identity, of who you are, what drives you, that sort of thing. And I would say it's almost like starting again, isn't it? Because you're back to the first house. So that when I say the transcendence, it's like one life is over and it's almost like starting a new life in a way. So feel free to leave me comments on your experiences of these things. Let's get you some tarot cards for each of these. That could be where the humility is coming from as well. If it's like you've finished with one life previous, like not literally obviously, but if you kind of like the old life is over for you, it's like gaining humility through that experience. Because I know Pisces isn't connected to death, but transcendence and death for me feel kind of, there's a similarity there. I don't know, like a rites of passage or something, like a spiritual rites of passage, I don't know. But yeah, feel free to leave comments on that. But let's get you a few cards for trust and acceptance. You've got the Four of Wands. Try that again. King of Pentacles. Nope, too many. I mean, you've got the Ten of Cups, the Empress, and the Ace of Swords, but that is too many. I only want like 2 or 3 cards for each to go with each oracle card. So I've used the Power of Love, so Queen of the Moon deck here, and the Power of Love. I've really felt like that Power of Love deck was Aquarius energy, and I'm not even sure why, but it felt like it. Anyway, right, so another one for the full moon message. It's the start of a new journey for you. It is the start of it. There's a sense of where do I go from here, but it's also like it's a new journey as well. That's interesting. And I'm getting thoughts about, it may be literal for some, building a house, but maybe more so metaphorical. That energy of like, you know where you've been, you know how far you've come, and it's now time to build, almost like build a new life or something, or a new way, something to that effect with those energies. Let's look at the Courage card. We've got the Queen of Cups. See, this is happening again in this reading, is where the connections between the previous cards. So like trust, acceptance, that for me, that's the emotional side of trusting your emotions and accepting your emotions as well. Having courage to do that as well. So 3 of Pentacles. Okay, yeah, we'll take it, even though it's 4 cards. So we've got the Queen of Wands, Justice card. It's like, for me, that's having the courage, trust, acceptance to, there's a deep trust in your emotions here, in bringing things together and showing who you are and being who you are. You know that it's, there's something about knowing that it's the right thing. I don't know how to explain that feeling. It's just a feeling of sort of knowing this is best for you, whatever this is, or it is, whatever emotions you feel, that whatever you try to bring together, no matter how you express yourself, it's right for you. And I say right in rights, in quotation or speech marks, because, you know, right, wrong, there's different ways of perceiving that, isn't it? But it's just knowing that whatever you do, it's right for you. You know, like sometimes a reader might say to you, there's no right or wrong path. It's that kind of energy. There's no right or wrong path. It's just you choose the path, you do what you got to do, and adapt as you go. And it's a similar with that hermit energy as well. You know where you've been. You've got you've already been able to build previously, because I keep referring to the old life and new life. You already built an old life, and it's like you can go on off on a new journey and know that you can do it again. Okay, right, humility. Let's see what that means. You've got the Knight of Wands. It's funny that comes up because I suppose in a low vibration, the Knight of Wands could be arrogant. So, but maybe it's a case of being there, done that, where maybe you have been through that phase in your life at whatever point in your life of arrogance, and you've learned humility from that. Nine of Pentacles. Ooh. Try that again. So you've got the Nine of Pentacles with that. There's a sense of gratitude with that as well, actually. I don't know how that works, but okay. I think I get why the humility card's there, because as I say, it's like you may have already had success or abundance in whatever capacity you feel like that is in your life to a certain degree. But as I say, it's like the start of a new journey now. And the humility is you've been through that and you're ready to do it again. It's like the opposite of being a know-it-all. I don't know what the word for that is. The opposite of it, just being open, isn't it? Like, you know, you don't know everything, no matter how far you've come. Like, say if you had somebody who was 100 years old, and you would probably look at a 100-year-old person and think, oh my God, they've been through it all. They know everything. Like, even if they had, like, literally if they'd fought in the war, they've done this, they've done that, they've done everything you could think of. They've got a PhD, whatever. And that person's humility could be that even though they've been through all of that, they've lived through 100 years, they've had 10 kids, been married 5 times, whatever, they have some degree of humility where it's like, oh, well, actually, I don't know everything. I'm still open to learning and experiencing. And that would be humility in them. So it's an interesting energy, like still being ready to explore, even though you know you've already previously built a strong foundation, just keeping that open mind, that curiosity, knowing, still being willing to take a risk and to learn things, new things, and do new things, even though you've had so many other experiences and had strong foundations, and you know, that sort of energy. So let's look at the message. I'm not going to do the acceptance message for you, but let's do trust. So trust says, trust yourself. Developing self-trust and joy will follow. You can rely on your own capabilities. Begin to plan carefully for the future. It is the beginning, and I trust myself in all things. Apart from the trust we might develop spiritually with our higher power, that's like hermit energy. Self-trust is the basis of all other trust. Self-trust is a surety that we can rely upon ourselves, that our decisions are valid. I think that's what I was trying to say with all of what I just said, is trusting in yourself. That we ourselves matter, that knowing ourselves combined with trusting ourselves leads to better, more informed decisions about all aspects of our life, including career and relationships. Self-trust is far more than a flashy show of confidence. It is a deeper and farther reaching than that. It is security at the very core that no matter what, our vision matters, our wisdom matters, and it is best. It allows for flow and for faith in oneself and the way you do things, moving and choosing in the world. Self-trust is a full acceptance of self. As accepting oneself becomes easier, thus self-trust will begin to shine. This gives great momentum to anything we choose to tackle or do. The ancestors saw spring, the great thawing, as a new beginning. They would walk the marshes and plains and find newly laid eggs. More than just a symbol of fertility and new hope, the eggs meant that the worst of the cold was over and that new life was really here. The egg moon was a time of celebrating and rejoicing. So I forgot the egg. The egg is here actually, but it's making me think of the chicken, and you know, when people talk about what came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know why that's come to mind. If that makes sense to anyone, that's just suddenly come into mind. But yeah, I don't think there's anything to add to that because I already spoke at the beginning. There's a big sense of faith here with that. I think trust and acceptance are faith, aren't they? And the Hermit has faith in himself. The King of Pentacles has faith in himself. As I say, it's like kind of, you know where you've been, you know you've been successful already, but it's kind of, it's time for another journey, a new journey. Let's have a look at the Courage card. So just the main message of the Courage card says, step forward, throw your shoulders back and stand up for yourself with passion. Speak up for those less fortunate. Be impeccable in all your actions. This isn't the time to be timid and pull back. Don't be limited by the beliefs of others. Use your passion to make a difference. Courage doesn't mean that you aren't afraid. Fearless means fearless. Acknowledge your fear and take action anyway. Make a stand. You are strong and powerful and have great valor within you. So for me, so this is relating to the conjunction between the Sun and Pluto. What's been triggered? It's just courage on the new journey that you take in. Well, just in general as well, having trust and faith in your emotions, that you can bring things together in who you are and showing who you are, and knowing that whatever choice you make, it's the best or right choice for you, and you'll balance it back out. Even if things don't go as planned or as well as you think, you'll balance it back out. And as I say again, humility, I just keep thinking of that 100-year-old where it's just like always ready to I mean, yeah, there is the element of accepting others as they are and wanting to be accepted as you are, which is, I think, part of what I was talking about at the beginning in the being an individual, that individual side of Aquarius, and the community side and the interconnections and bringing all of that together. So it's acceptance of that. But as I say, it's that example of the 100-year-old where they know that they don't know everything and they're still willing to explore and take risks and come out of their comfort zone as well. So I'll leave your message there, Aquarius. As I say, I'd be really intrigued, since I know so much shit is happening in your planet, for you to sort of share how you're feeling, how you've got on, what was the last cycle like with Pluto in Capricorn, how it feels now, etc. But thanks for watching. Take care. So welcome back, Pisces. We're going to start off with your full moon message using the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. So what does Pisces Sun, Moon or Rising need to know for the full moon in Leo? Leo, excuse me, getting a dry throat. You might want to use these messages to set intentions. I might need a drink, actually. So what does Pisces need to know for... Right, you've got the Sovereignty card as well. Actually, I like that. That does make sense. I think, was it Capricorn that got that one too? Let's next get your message for the conjunction that happened between the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn. As I say, it's already happened, but it felt like a catalyst. So what has it triggered for you? Nope, that's too many. Although, openness fell on my lap, and I think that message might be relevant after I've just looked at the astrology for you. So feel free to check your individual birth chart. There's a link in the description box if you want to do that and you don't already know it. And the placements will be a bit different for like the day-to-day astrology compared to your individual birth chart. You've got miracles. That makes sense too. So I'm using the Sacred Destiny deck for the conjunction because of that. I think it's because of that mention of the degree of fate. That one felt like the right one to use. And finally, a message for how Pluto entering Aquarius impacts you. So let's see. Right, you've got present. I like that, responsibility. So you live in the present moment and are able to bring forth the energy of love in your current circumstances. And you also have responsibility. You are aware of the power of your thoughts and the amount of love you express. And that makes sense, and I will tell you why in a minute. So I've looked at like the collective day-to-day astrology for or try to, because I'm not an astrology expert by any means, for Pisces. So the transits. So Pluto was in your 11th house. When it was in Capricorn, it was in your 11th house. That is Aquarius energy. So as I said, we've already talked about Aquarius being to do with individuality. It can be to do with community as well. There's also the side of wishes and humanitarianism that I didn't actually mention. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but community does suggest humanitarianism, but wishes as well. Through that transit, one transformation you may have experienced is well, first of all, in terms of getting what you want, that's one thing that comes to mind, but also in terms of how you relate to community as well, and in terms of fitting in. You might have had struggles with that and felt like there were rules that you was feeling like you needed to follow, and you don't know if you didn't want to, because the Aquarius energy and Capricorn energy are quite opposites, aren't they? Like Aquarius is very liberated. Capricorn, there's more structure. So you might have had difficulties with that, like a bit of a power struggle. Now Pluto is in Aquarius. It's in your 12th house, which is, it's you, isn't it? Pisces, the 12th house, it's you, to do with your beliefs. There's this whole spirituality aspect, the inner self, transcendence, that sort of thing. So now there might be something about you sharing your beliefs more as a form of humanitarianism or in the community. And that's where I think that responsibility might come in, to be honest. It's almost like for some of you, it's like you may feel like you have a responsibility share, like especially if you're an empath or you're into deeply spiritual stuff, you might feel, or whatever, it doesn't have to be that. Creativity, even, because Pisces can be connected to creativity. But you might sort of feel in this new 20-year chapter a sense of responsibility in sharing your beliefs with the collective, to be honest, and present. I mean, one thing with Pisces is Pisces can be known to be very imaginative, but then it can get to the point where on the shadow side, it's being too stuck in your imagination. So it's like being coming down to earth a little bit. It's not to say don't have the imagination, but you know, one thing that can ground you is sharing your imagination, whether it is to do with spirituality or creativity in general. Sovereignty, that is a part of that sense of responsibility. It's like being who you are, but also sharing that as well. So let's get your tarot cards out with that, and then I'll read the messages from the book for you. And feel free to share your comments about how you've experienced the transits and just in general, anything you want to share. So for sovereignty, right, we've got the Six of Swords. I was thinking, do I want to keep that? Do I need to keep that? But yes, so this is specifically for the full moon. We've got the Devil. And we have the Knight of Swords. So anything where you felt held back about sharing your truth, it's time to move on from that now. Again, it's sovereignty, sharing the truth of who you are, what you believe in, those sorts of things. And the message is really, from all the readings I've done, you're the last one now because I've done it in order. They all connect, like they connect with each other. They connect with the all of the cards connect, even though one's for the full moon, one's for the conjunction, and one's for Pluto being in Aquarius. Everything connects. Let's look at the Miracles card. What do we need to look at for the Miracles card? Anything that's held you back from your sovereignty, as I say, your truth, because your truth is part of your sovereignty, isn't it? So you've got the Page of Wands, the Four of Pentacles, the Judgment card. That is really fascinating energy. I'm just going to get one more for that. Again, it may be that energy of needing to share what you believe in, actually, because the Page of Wands, it can be about exploring. There is a spiritual element to it with the Wand as well. The Four of Pentacles, often that's a need to, a lot of the time it's a need to, sometimes it can be a necessary protection, but a lot of the time it's about opening up. And then Judgment, for me, I often say it's about answering the call. So if you felt a calling to sort of share your beliefs, then it can be that as well. And the Lovers, for me, it's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice to connect with what you love, but miracles could come from that. You might feel like whatever whatever you believe in, or what your creativity is, or whatever it is you want to share, you may have felt in the past that it's just not, nobody really gives a shit. That's one thing that could come up, but now it's an opportunity to sort of open up and share that. And miracles, I know we often think of miracles as massive, major, magical things that happen, but sometimes it's the small things, isn't it? Like, for example, a small thing would be like speaking on something that you feel strongly and believe in, and then just having just a few people that really, really value that. To me, that would be a miracle. Everybody's got their own version of a miracle, but let's get you final cards for that, and then I'll read the messages out. So present, I'm going to try that again. Oh, no, actually, I will take that. That's a card of authority, that is, and it's a teaching card as well. So a lot of people might become teachers here. I know that's usually more 9th house, but when I say teacher, it doesn't literally mean, it doesn't have to be a school teacher, but it's just sharing knowledge, isn't it? And beliefs are associated with the King of Swords too. So anything else? So we've got the Sun, which is making me think of expression, and the Ten of Cups in reverse. You know, one thing I will say with Capricorn energy is is like a key theme for Capricorn. So where Pluto was in your 11th house with Capricorn, there may have been certain rules around how or what you can share about what you believe in, that might need to come to an end now. Maybe the way you did it before it didn't feel like it was in alignment with you. And I don't know how to, like, say if you wanted to do something in particular or express yourself in a certain way, you may have thought, say if you had an interest in, God, I don't know, let's say art, for example. Say if you were interested in art, but with that Capricorn energy, it felt like, oh, well, it has to be useful. Like, if I'm going to do art, it has to be useful. So the only way I can do art is if I become an art teacher in a school. But maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want it to be an artist that is an artist within their own rights and sells art and whatever. And it's like that would be the change from Capricorn energy to the practical uses of the art, of knowing, having knowledge or experience with art, to then to going into the more heart-based side of things, where it's like, no, I just want to express myself. I just want to express it. I'm not bothered about how much money I make from it, although obviously you need money to survive, but it's more the expressive and emotional side of things, of getting enjoyment from it. So let's look at the sovereignty card for you. So it says, you have sovereignty over your own life. Act with grace and confidence. You have the ability to unite disparate people and views should you choose to do so. The buck stops with you. You are powerful. Act like it. It says, I reign over my own realm. Goddesses of the moon are one of the oldest kinds of feminine divine and feature in mythologies from almost every corner of the globe. From Diana of ancient Rome and the Greek Artemis to the Semitic Astarte and Hina from Polynesia. The link with the feminine divine and the lunar planet and its cycles is a strong one. These goddesses in all their myriad of forms were extremely powerful and demonstrated to women that they naturally had power as well. We should strive to be the powerful queens of our own domain. Women especially have been socialized to defer, to keep small, to be quiet, and to hold a very twisted kind of service that borders on servitude. That's kind of what I was getting at with, if you wanted to express a particular thing that you love or that you feel attached to, but having to, more with the Capricorn energy, as I say, wanting it to be useful, or feeling the pressure that it has to be useful in the way that you do it. So it's more being of service. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but then, you know, if it starts to feel like it's not in alignment with you, how else can you use that? And I'm just talking now, but I'll continue with the book. It says, while in many first world countries women can choose to be what they wish to be on paper, women still experience inequality in most countries in areas such as wage disparity and an imbalance of the numbers of women in government or in high-level board positions. However, what has been accepted in the past is not what will be accepted in the future. A new queendom is coming. When we reign over our lives, it is us that take on the responsibility, which is there, for our own change and decisions. The Moon Queen knows that we, just under the divine, are our own rulers, and as such, the buck stops here. Therefore, it is worth us investing in growing our own self-awareness, our own self-trust, self-care, and self-esteem in real and practical ways. We must, as any queen would, set firm boundaries to protect our queendom and those who are under our protection. I get King of Swords as a protective energy sometimes as well. It says, this does not mean we become cruel rulers. We should always aim for benevolence, fairness, and a great love for all as well as ourselves. It does mean we may have to push against those who do not respect our line in the sand. Okay, so that was for the sovereignty card. Again, it's just moving on to a point where you're no longer held back from your truth, or expressing in the way that you want to express the truth of who you are. Let's read the miracles card and see what that says. So it says, the storms of the past are passing and your dreams are coming true. No matter what has happened in the past, your future holds abounding miracles. Good fortune, celestial beauty, and inner divinity are expanding within you. Believe that your life is guided. Trust in the goodness of the universe. A celestial bridge to the heavens is opening for you. Start a health program, invest in your career, or initiate a relationship, and good fortune will manifest. Blessings are flowing in all directions. Believe that you deserve the best because you do. Bounty, joy, blessings, and miracles are flowing your way. So again, it's that sense of openness. It's answering the calling, choosing what you love. You know, you're the one who gets to choose. But yeah, openness I think is key here. And again, as I said, with that responsibility, it's like it's a responsibility to you first as well, in how you express love yourself, who you are, what you love, those kind of things, and being present and showing presence with it as well, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain that. But that's your message, Pisces. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.